take them down. Power lies on their side.
Hello everyone, welcome back to How We Felt About. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today Eric and I are going to talk about Rampage. And Rampage is going to be the one and only item for How We Felt About. So it's going to be like a classic How We Felt About in that we're talking about one thing, but not in that we're writing boards. Because we just haven't done that in a really long time,
Yep.
So why start now? So we're gonna talk about how we felt about the new disaster-y slash
Giant monster movie.
video game movie Rampage, a thing that I never thought I would see a movie based on.
No.
I thought with trailers, this looked like a really fun movie. It was a really cool idea, and I have liked Dwayne Johnson a lot lately. And
Because you really like Jumanji.
Yeah, and that was a great project. He doesn't always pick good projects. You can't go, oh, this is going to be good because he's in it.
Yeah.
You know it's going to have a bigger budget now because he's in it, because he's commanding $20 million a movie, and he's one of the only actors that does that these days with where Hollywood is, and you know how much in shambles some of it is, except for some of the big giant blockbusters like superhero movies. But I digress. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Eric, why don't you start? Just tell us your basic thoughts, how you felt walking out of Rampage.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah?
I had a lot of fun. It's one of those movies where I don't know if it's self-aware or not. Like, there's a point where The Rock gets shot, and then a scene later, he goes, well, they just missed all the vital organs. That can either be lazy writing or intentionally silly, and I don't know which, but I'm going with it.
Okay.
A lot of that stuff, I think the movie's having a lot of fun. I think, what's his name, the comedian shows up and just steals the whole movie. I think he's wonderful.
He does. Yeah. Yeah, he's fantastic. That's Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
And we spend the whole movie building up to this one big fight, which is amazing. And after this and Skull Island, Godzilla 2 has a lot to compete with. And also, this is what I wanted at the end of Godzilla 2014. Where they spent the whole movie being like,
slow build.
Yeah, we're slow build, but then we're gonna have a cool fight, and the fight's just okay. This is the fight I wanted. It's awesome. It's like the entire third act of the movie is just this giant monster fight that I
it's
love.
during the day.
Yeah,
And the CG is as good as it is.
the CG's wonderful in this movie. I had a lot of fun.
The close-up on the ape's hand at the end.
Yeah.
Really impressive. Just all the contours and yeah.
I was also surprised by how, I'll use the word adult or mature it was. Not mature is the wrong word. I'll use the word adult in that...
Lowercase m.
Yeah. In that I loved the violence, and because of the violence I was okay with some of the more adult humor. It's not a movie you can take kids to. It's a PG-13 movie you can't take kids to. Or maybe you shouldn't. But I didn't care because the rest of the movie was also that way too. It's not one of these movies where I'm like, everything about this is totally kid appropriate except for this one joke or this one kind of joke. The entire movie is that way.
It gives it to us up front. It opens with a pretty gruesome scene.
Yeah.
The thing in space. And
Yeah.
There's blood everywhere, and like it tells you right away that it's going to be a little bit closer to like Predator than it is to like Independence Day.
Yeah. One of my big things watching that trailer is I was like, it sucks that we're not going to get to see him eat anybody because it's a real sanitized PG-13 movie. And they eat people, and not only do they eat people like they do in the game, where it's just, like, and I really like that. I really liked a lot of that. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I like that it's a movie. I like that there's no sequel bait.
That's true. Yeah.
It, in a certain way, took me back to films of my youth, like Independence Day, where it felt like just it's not a smart movie, but it doesn't insult me either. It's a big, dumb, fun action movie for me, and I enjoyed it a lot. I will say I am feeling it.
So this is weird because I agree with most of what you said, and I didn't care for this movie at all.
No, you did not. I was sitting next to you.
I did not have a good time. Until the third act, I was pretty bored, and I was looking at my watch, and I had other things on my mind. I think this movie is... So a lot of the couple negatives that Eric lobbed at it are just a bigger problem for me. Mm-hmm. So you're going to agree with what I'm going to say, but it's not going to bother you as much.
Yes.
It's totally inconsistent.
I see. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's totally inconsistent.
But you said things that basically amount to tonally inconsistent. So you said it doesn't know what kind of movie it is.
No. I said I don't know if it knows. Okay. I don't know if it knows.
that screams tonal inconsistency to me. Like,
Okay.
like
I don't ever think it's inconsistent about it. I'm just not sure if it's poking fun at itself or if it's just written that way.
okay, see okay, so I guess you won't agree with this. The issue is, for me, there are scenes where it's the fun, over the top. We're supposed to be enjoying the violence movie that it was advertised as, and then there are a lot of other scenes that just take themselves too seriously. I don't know if I'm supposed to be inspired to take a stand about animal rights and about the environment and about big business messing with those things for their own gain, or if that stuff is just supposed to be the background of the set dressing. Too often it feels like it's trying to tug at my heartstrings or something with that stuff, and frankly, some of that stuff I was a little bit insulted by. I gotta be honest with you.
I thought most of it was good enough. The Rock's backstory might be a little too extreme for this movie, but I did like the scene.
I like the acting. I think he's playing it well. I also don't think every performance is great in this. You like the girl better than I did.
I do. I like her a lot. She's Moneypenny in the current James Bond films.
See, maybe some of that is just because you have experience with her. I didn't think they had very much chemistry at all.
I don't think they have a lot of chemistry, but I like her.
I liked her more at the beginning, and I thought her acting waned. I thought she was fine initially, and I thought it started to drop off. I liked Jeffrey Dean Morgan a lot, and I liked his kind of turn. I felt like I expected that to go a particular way, and it didn't, and it won me over on it. That was very impressive. The action is wonderful. It looks really, really good. The CG is great throughout, and I saw something. I won't spoil it. We do spoilers with this sometimes, but I don't know how many people are actually seeing this movie.
It involves a helicopter. If you've seen the movie, you know what this is.
There's this, I've never seen that before. But things like that were wonderfully over the top and impossible and out there in a movie that sometimes I feel like is that kind of movie and sometimes isn't. And so it's kind of totally inconsistent. I also think that maybe this is somewhat of a taste issue. I don't think it's a great script. There are a lot of jokes that fall really flat for me.
And I was laughing more than you were.
Aren't funny at all. And like, you have to work harder to win me over in a movie like this because I don't automatically want to be there. Is part of the thing. But I saw the trailer and thought that this could be really super fun, and then it wasn't as absurd as it should have been for how absurd it gets at the end. Is my thing. I think it's a different movie at the end, and it's the movie I went there to see. But there's only about 25 minutes of the movie I went there to see, and that's a problem. I'm not saying that it's bad that it takes as long to build to it as it does. It's just not. You say it's really fun. I don't think it's fun until then, except for Morgan.
Like, no, I was having fun the whole way through.
Wow, yeah. I don't get it. I don't see it.
There is one scene where we get everyone's backstory and it drags really hard.
Yeah.
But other than that, I had fun with Rock at the beginning. I had fun with the wolf attacking Deathstroke.
See, you put this. I'm not saying you're putting it in the same category necessarily, but you mention it in the same breath as Skull Island. I think I'm
only talking about the action.
I get that. I think I like this movie a lot less because I saw that. I mean, I think that raised a little bit of a bar, and I was not like in love with that movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good, but that movie was able to, within its context, be serious enough for me to appreciate character arcs, but it stayed at a particular brand of absurd and out there throughout. This didn't have that. It waffles. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna go with a not feeling it. I didn't like this movie. I like the end of this movie. It's what I was hoping for the whole movie, but it was too much of. It was too boring to get there, for me.
No, I think that's fair.
So yeah, Eric and I decisively not in agreement.
Yeah.
With this particular movie. And I had flashes of Ninja Turtles 2014. Like just some really typical dime a dozen. I've been here 100,000 times, and you guys should be better than this because in other places you're having fun and showing me things I haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So the writing wasn't up to spec, I didn't think, with the action.
Mm-hmm.
And the villain heard it.
She's
great. Horrible.
But I've never liked her in anything I've ever seen her in.
Me neither. But it kind of screamed, we spent a lot of money on The Rock and we just don't have anything left over. I mean, like...
Yeah.
I had that with the casting. With a lot of this, where it was just, we couldn't get anybody else that's in The Rock's league. And he was great. I even think his character is a little bit inconsistent, where there's just places where he's having a lot of fun and places where he's overly serious and they're not quite meshing. I don't mean that people don't have different sides to their personality, but it didn't seem like the same guy all the time.
Do you want to talk about the real thing that killed it for you immediately? From opening credits.
I don't even know what you're talking about right off.
It's preceded by a trailer.
Yeah. So, no, but we're going to talk about that later.
Okay.
That is going to come up on the Omnibus. Yeah, this can sometimes be a problem, and I will admit that this might have influenced me some. I still don't know that I would have liked this movie that much.
No, I don't think you would have either.
But, when you... I don't even want to say what
But
it
it
is.
starts you off on the wrong foot. There was a trailer that plays before this movie. After a bunch of really bad trailers, we see a trailer...
and we just lost it.
Yeah,
we lost
just
our minds.
And we were the only ones in the theater laughing that
You can go
hard.
ahead and say what it is, if you want to, but we're going to talk about it later.
There's a movie coming out called Tag, which is about a group of friends who apparently their entire life have been playing one continuous game of tag.
We just thought it was hilarious, and
And
we
it
couldn't
looks
stop
amazing.
laughing. Yeah,
and
it's a
then-
really well put together trailer.
It's a really well put together trailer, and
It's
then the
so
movie
absurd.
starts.
And I just...
And we're still laughing. Like, as Universal logo comes up, we are still laughing about the Tag
And it's
trailer.
one of those trailers that made me forget what I went there to see, and then, now I gotta watch Rampage, you know? So anyway, that's it. Anything else you want to talk about? 'Cause,
No.
I mean, I spent a few minutes complaining about it. I mean, like...
I think it's unfortunate that a movie like this can only get made because it's called Rampage.
yeah?
We're not going to spend a bunch of money on putting The Rock in a giant monster movie. We have to somehow tangentially make it to another property, which... I mean, this could have been anything, right? Like, this didn't have to be Rampage. There's a couple of things that are, like, token... Like, apparently... Like the villain is wearing a red dress at the end of the film because all of the women that you grab out of the buildings are wearing red dresses and things like it's a lot of things like that where I'm like, and
But
honestly, it's
there's
not the plot.
a lot of substance there
in
in the first place.
Well, it's not the plot of Rampage because the one thing that we know about the plot of Rampage is that they're people that got turned into giant monsters and sometimes they shrink back to normal people.
We don't do that at all.
We don't do that.
There's not a people component except that it's humans that make it happen. But then it's I mean it feels like an almost like alternate Planet of the Apes, really.
It's unfortunate that this has to be a pre-established IP. It couldn't just be a big fun monster movie. That's my biggest thing against it. Is like this doesn't feel like Rampage. I don't care because I enjoyed the movie, but
They did have fun. Yeah, the thing is that movie would have to be monsters rampaging the whole time. You would have to have a lot more monsters. They would have to be all over the world like they are in the game,
Yeah.
which I would have kind of liked
Yeah.
if we'd done something like that. But I do think it's kind of fun that, like, I like that we have a sympathetic monster.
Mhm.
That's a thing that I like.
Yep.
I read a review that claimed that was kind of too easy, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't agree.
But we have a kind of sympathetic monster without giving too much away, and I guess in that sense you could say that like once a certain thing happens with him, it's like now that you're on his side, it's like you'd be controlling him in the game or something.
Yeah.
But then you're always trying to kill people and eat people in the game,
Yeah.
so I guess it isn't like that. So
yeah,
much.
no, it's not really like Rampage.
Yeah.
But I don't care because like I enjoyed this movie. So, are you with Ubol's #fake Rampage campaign? Are you gonna start doing that?
No. I mean, I hate this movie. I don't think
Yeah.
it ripped him off or anything. But of course, she had to bring that up. No, I didn't.
No, yeah,
It wasn't for me.
yeah, that's fair.
But I can see why. I can see why you enjoyed a lot of this. There's some stuff I don't.
And
know.
also, in defense of this movie,
there were things you laughed at I simply didn't think were funny.
in defense of this movie and of me, I don't get a lot of these.
Also, some of that, but yeah, sure.
I don't get a lot of
And I
giant
don't need this in
robots,
the
and I
first
don't
place.
get a lot of
and
giant monsters.
You've hurt me on this because
I'm showing you the best stuff.
I have started to like some of these monster movies better, and I know where the bar is, and I don't need these all the time, and I haven't seen a lot of what's there already. So, like, I might have that if I was a huge fan of this, and I'd already milked it all. But there's still movies to be milked, and so I'm So that's where we're at. So I don't know if you are already a giant monster fan, you might feel the way Eric did, or you might be more critical. I don't know. That's the thing I never know about with things like this. It's like, or you're gonna be more or less critical because you're a big fan of it. You know, I never know that with science fiction things. And So yeah. Well, thanks a lot for watching this. If you're watching it as its own video, if you're watching the Omnibus, we're gonna move right along. This was us today. If you saw Rampage, let us know how you felt about it in the comments. Eric, I hope you're not tired of talking about Power Rangers, because it's time to immediately morph back into some reviews. We're going to talk about a ginormous amount of Power Rangers TV stuff right now. And
not just Power Rangers.
Eric and I, and things that are just tangentially related, or more than tangentially related. That's the word of the day. The word of the day, kids, is tangentially. Eric and I are going to talk about a bunch of TV Power Ranger stuff that we watched over the last couple of weeks, and we're going to begin with the first season of Ninja Steel. It sucks that we have to say it like that. I wish these things were just one season in the first place, but yeah, the Ninja Steel, the Super Ninja Steel. Now, to be fair, they do some things to try to separate these things enough as sort of two separate series, and I haven't... Has Super Ninja Steel started yet?
Yes.
Has it started airing?
Yes.
So I don't know what they're doing with that yet. I haven't looked into it. I don't know if the cast is all the same.
I'm pretty sure it's all the same.
That's weird, because, spoiler alert, some of them lose their powers at the end.
They all lose their powers.
I think they all do, don't they?
Yeah.
So that's weird.
No, it
so
feels
I
like
guess
it's
they have
an
to come up with
ending.
some contrivance to get them back, and but anyway, so... Eric and I finally watched an entire season of modern Power Rangers, which we've not done since. I mean, I never watched all of a lot of the modern stuff, even when Disney had it. But you've watched RPM. You've never watched any of all of these.
Yeah. Nope.
I did see most of Super Mega Force. It's not good.
It's not.
But
good.
I watched it for the costumes. But I never watched the ending until I finally did, and then
It was awful.
It's awful. But anyway, I digress. So, let me start off by saying that a couple years ago when it started, I watched the beginning of Dino Charge, and I liked it. And I got 6 episodes in, and I was already bored. I was just like, this has lost me. I'm kind of done with it. I like
and
this
Dino
cast.
Charge
They're
feels
fun.
like an immense step up from Super Mega Force.
Yeah.
Coming right
They
off the
did
heels
some
of Super Mega Force.
Massive tweaking.
Yeah.
And this continues that.
Well, and we should also say that you and I sat down to try and watch Dino Charge together. We're going to watch through all of Dino Charge.
We did.
We got about 6 episodes in. We were like,
yeah.
This is kind of generic.
Yeah.
It's not doing it.
We did. We watched 3 or 4 episodes in an evening, and there are Power Ranger shows that you and I have no problem binging and watching several episodes of.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about Alien Rangers later. Like that's a little slow, but we didn't have any problem watching that in 5-episode chunks. You know.
Mm-hmm.
This, I mean, to be fair, I'm familiar with that. I've been watching it a long time, but this I got also, like Dino Charge, kind of bored with pretty quick. And a lot of things that I was excited about, that I talked about when it first started, because I talked about it a little bit on Crisis at the beginning, and reviewed the first 3 or 4 episodes, they didn't really stick with. You know, you got the game show, the kind of reality show idea, where you got these, it's this kind of like intergalactic brawler show, where you've got monsters fighting for the chance to try to win, to try to get Ninja Steel stars, which doesn't really make a lot of sense in the first place, because no one but people who are pure of heart or whatever can put their hand in and get one.
But I don't think they know that.
And how would you watch? But wouldn't you get bored watching a show where everyone always loses all the time?
No, you would. And when the show started, I was like, "That's a gimme," because the premise of the show is going to change immediately. So the premise of the in-universe game show is going to change immedially. I'm fine with the fact that I'll
and
give
the Power
you
Rangers always win.
Yep,
and it's the exact same thing.
And they don't have any fun with it. First of all, the villain should have been the host.
Yeah, that would have been wonderful.
The villains suck.
Especially because you very rarely get the cackling, delighted villain in
Yeah.
Power Rangers. Wouldn't that have been a lot of fun? And honestly, I could have lived with exactly his design.
Well, I don't even need that guy to have been the villain.
But I could have done that, though. I could have lived with that.
It would have been better than the generic.
Galvanax was really boring and generic. He's nothing. All of his minions and the girl that I guess is probably going to be the villain of the next season is the sense I got. Who's backstabbing him is also boring.
We're going to watch, when we go through all of Power Rangers, we're going to watch...
When I say interesting with a Power Rangers villain, I just mean a little charismatic and...
Well, we're going to watch a number of
crazy
shows that have backstabbing villains that change halfway through, and, it's all more engaging than this.
It feels obligatory. It feels like they're following
I don't
a preset pattern.
Yeah, and I don't care anytime we cut over to the villains. They're not fun.
And you notice, they seem to know that because they don't cut to them very often.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is the first Power Rangers thing that I think I've ever seen where I forget there are villains.
Yeah. Yep.
With the reality show thing, it gets to the point where it's just there for making the monster grow. Sometimes Galvanax does it without the host of the show. Like, initially, the premise seems to be we're going to turn this game show from what it was to it's still about the Ninja Steel. It's still about them trying to get their hands on that. But now the Power Rangers have it, so we have to get it from them. So like that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the idea is okay. The audience is going to get to vote. And the audience is hilarious because there's all these monsters sitting in seats, and I don't know if they ever leave. It seems like the show never ends. It's just always going on. It's the Truman Show with monsters, except there's no Truman. It's weird. And so they vote about how exactly things are going to go down, and you could have had so much fun with that, like you said.
Yeah, and we do once.
We do this episode, and I talked about it when it aired. We do this episode where they send the monster down, and and the Power Rangers fight it, they beat it, and the audience decides that monster is stupid, and they don't want to see it grow, and they just send a different monster.
Yep.
And that was great.
Yep.
And I've never seen that in Power Rangers.
Nope.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And they never do that again.
Or anything like it. We don't need that
audience-
gag every time, but they don't have any fun with the format.
No.
That's the only time they ever did
They
that.
never vote to not... Like, did you notice the host keeps asking them if we should make the monster grow? And they're always like... And it's always by applause. And like, yay, and then they make the monster grow. Eventually, he just stops asking.
Yep.
We just start gigantifying every time.
Now, all of that being said,
Yeah.
while as boring as all the villain stuff is, a lot of the monsters are very fun.
Yeah, but...
The monsters have fun personalities.
Right, but that's the Sentai before it's the show. At least
No,
the
their
design.
dialogue.
Some of the dialogue's
and
fun.
The monsters are kind of fun. I'm
Although,
not just talking about the designs.
I
I'm
know
talking
it's
about-
Power Rangers, but some of that got too formulaic for me. You get to the end. It's so weird.
The first 10
talking about Power
episodes, I was
Rangers.
enjoying the monsters much more than I was in the later half of it.
Well, and you never got anything like Bad Pipes again. Bad Pipes was great,
Yeah.
and the chainsaw guy is great. It's weird though because there's a chainsaw weapon in Super Megaforce, and it's weird that we have a chainsaw monster, and then there's like no connection to that. That's weird.
And they don't address that as a chainsaw weapon.
But you get to the end of most fights if it's a gimmicky monster that has a name that's a pun or something. When we did Comic Vault, we forgot to talk about the pun monsters.
We did forget to talk about
comics, and they're wonderful.
They're amazing.
But you get to the end of a lot of those fights, and there's always a pun, like a line that they've been saving back for that. The first couple of those were funny, and after a while, I started anticipating them, and that stopped being fun.
Yeah.
We talked about this in GNN. There's just something missing, and we can't quite put our finger on it.
Yeah. There's.
And we'll be able to articulate major issues we have with the show, but just overall, after the first 4 or 5 episodes, when I've gotten used to what the show is, there's an edge or something to it that's just not there.
A good majority of the Rangers, at least both of the girls and the Blue Ranger, I think are excellent and would be great Power Rangers in a different show. Nothing about the setup or premise is inherently any worse than most Power Rangers shows. Even some of the plot twist stuff feels like it should be compelling on the level of Power Rangers, but it never is. There's something about this show that's the entire Neo Saban era. There's like a spark that Power Rangers has that makes it enjoyable, even though it's a dumb kid show. And these don't have it, and this one doesn't have it. And this one gets boring. The more you watch, the more boring it is. Which is why I'm kind of glad I didn't keep watching Down the Charge, because I'm worried it would do that too. It would just get really boring.
Yeah, maybe so. It's so mediocre. And it feels like it's just going through the motions a lot of the time. But it's weird because a lot of those actors feel like they really want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're going to say, because I know there are so many female characters named Sarah that I just love, but God, I love her.
Yeah.
That actress is fantastic, and the initial premise for that character is a lot of fun, and she's got so much presence. Like that actress should go somewhere. There's an affect about her that is too good for that show, where it's like the spark we're talking about is there with her, but she doesn't have the material.
I feel like
to
that
really
with
bring
both
it home.
of the female actresses.
Do you?
I both of
She
female
doesn't get
Rangers.
enough screen time. I keep forgetting she's there.
Yeah.
There are some episodes she has that are hers, but
Well, and I like I like this.
Sarah's always very present. I mean, in some ways, she feels almost like the Time Force thing. She feels like the leader to me half the time.
Well, part of that with the White Ranger, and I think it's white. I think it's pink and
the
white.
Red Ranger is the most generic Red Ranger in the history of generic Red Rangers.
Yep.
His prevailing character trait is, I have a brother, and he was missing, and now he's not. That's his whole...
Well, and his dad, who comes out of nowhere. The thing with the White Ranger is that she's dating the Yellow Ranger.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because we don't ever really do that in Power Rangers. We don't often have the Rangers actually dating, or we won't have it happen during the show, but in the finale we'll say these two people got together.
Sure.
I like that. The problem is, they're basically one character.
Yeah, I agree with that,
and
sure.
Even the episode...
Well, and they both don't get a whole lot of screen time. And, when
and he just disappears into the background.
When they find
that is the most unengaging Yellow Ranger I've ever seen.
Even over Trini, and that's saying something.
Yeah,
when
I remember her.
When you put them... Well, she's been adapted to a few other things now.
It's true.
When you when you finally get to their episode together toward the end of the season, I remembered they were dating, I guess, but I kind of had to catch up again and remind myself who these people are.
That episode had things, and the whole show has this, where there were weird, logical leaps and inconsistencies that felt,
even for Power Rangers, that I just can't
that felt
get my mind
dumb
around.
and hard to follow, even for Power Rangers. The food fight, the genesis of the food fight, and even
how I
then
feel
the mystery,
about food fights in general, but yeah.
But the genesis of the food fight. Okay, so the bullies, which we'll talk about, the bullies.
They make no sense.
The bullies put. Sorry. The premise of the episode is that the Yellow Ranger and the White Ranger, who are dating, are both running for student president. And the bully
the reason they're running is because because she thinks that he's too laid back and isn't proactive enough and doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so he says, "We'll find. I'll run for president," and he's going to run against her.
Yeah. Which is a great setup for a Power Rangers episode.
Well, and for a while, it's kind of they're still dating. It's a friendly rivalry. There's never any talk about them breaking up or whatever.
No,
I kind of like that.
No, it never goes too far. I appreciated that.
That I kind of appreciate.
I appreciate that you can show that they can be on opposite sides and not, it doesn't ruin them.
Kind of get along.
So, the bully, who is up until the show starts the best at everything, has been student president this entire time. Seemingly for his entire life.
We don't know why. We don't know how he got elected.
Yeah.
It's not important.
He doesn't want to lose, so the Yellow Ranger has a cake stand with what is it? Cupcakes. He's got cupcakes, and so.
But they're not giant cakes. They're not giant cupcakes that are cakes. They're just cupcakes.
So the bully puts hot sauce on one of them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then someone takes a bite and goes, it's hot. And then immediately the bully yells out, "Food fight!" And then everyone starts food fighting.
Right.
Why did you do the hot sauce in the first place if you're just going to cause a food fight? And then, first of all...
Yeah, that's fair.
We all know that the bully yelled out food fight. The rest of the episode, the big drama between the two is they don't know which one... They each think the other one, which... Because it was Telephone Monster.
It's not good or anything, but I don't have the problem with it that you do. He said it in a higher-pitched voice. Nobody knows he's there, and he was hiding behind something. Nobody knows who did it.
But what's weird is they both think that the other one did it because
Right.
the Telephone Monster. And then, near the
I
end...
forgot about the Telephone Monster.
He was fun. But then, near the end of the episode...
He gets all their voices in.
When they have their, talk and, they work it out...
Pit them against each other.
They then bring back up the hot sauce, which hadn't been mentioned. I wasn't even sure if he knew it had happened, because they never mentioned the hot sauce until it's I thought you put the hot sauce in the thing. I was like, thanks for remembering that happened.
Yeah, but
and the whole show's like that.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of things like this, where you have characters, and that's why it just feels like it doesn't care, or it thinks... I don't think it understands what Power Rangers is.
It feels dumb for Power Rangers.
Yeah, where it's Power Rangers things don't make sense, so it's almost like it manufactures motivations that are then contrary to motivations later. You have a concrete motivation for a character, and then later on, we either weirdly kind of change it, or we just do stuff that doesn't track with what that motivation was in the first place. It's really weird, but like I said, it feels manufactured because that's part of the formula for that show.
Mm-hmm. It feels like no one, not the cast, but the crew does not care. in a way that you don't get on other Power Rangers. Like, other Power Rangers, they're doing the best they can. There are inconsistencies, there are problems, and none of them are perfect. But this one, it really felt like they're like, yeah, I don't know, they're kids, they're not going to know this. It really felt like that kids are watching, who cares?
I didn't realize there were so many different brands of lack of internal logic. I didn't realize that there were brands of that I could tolerate, and other brands of it that I just don't care for. There's off-brand lack of internal logic, and that is what this show is. I think I might have finally cracked the code. That's what it is. So I don't know how to talk about anything else about this before we break down the bully thing, because I think that is the quintessential that is a quintessential example for what's wrong with the show. Mm-hmm. You have, like you alluded to earlier, a jock who is supposedly great at everything and has 49 trophies, and the whole season he's trying to get his 50th trophy. And he has an Igor-esque henchman who is obsessed with him and wants to marry him or something.
They're dating.
That's the sense I got to. And
it's very progressive, they're dating.
He's got this look about him that's like, I can never remember the name of that. What's the name of that movie with like the kid with the big creepy hair, and he's a nerd, and he's
Jimmy Neutron?
No, it's a live action thing. It's a comedy that I never saw that everybody in high school was obsessed with, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll think of it at some point. Anyway, but he looks like that kid. He's got the glasses. He's got the hair.
You're talking about Napoleon Dynamite.
He's Napoleon Dynamite,
yes.
but with like a crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid is psychotic, and like. It's too big for even Power. It's the wrong kind of big, right? It's the wrong brand. It's too big even for Power Rangers. When you get to the end of this, and these kids actually are supposed to be somewhat endearing, like Bulk and Skull, I needed that so much earlier, and I still never would have bought it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kid, there's something wrong, even in this world, with that kid.
Yeah. And
you can tell somebody told him to act like that. Somebody told him that you can't go too big.
Yeah.
And you can't with Power Rangers,
but it's the wrong.
He's just, it's almost mean-spirited about it in a way. I don't know how to describe it. It's messed up. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so you have Monty and Victor Vincent, which I've mentioned this before, but that's weird. That's hilarious to me because Vincent Haskins' brother's name is Victor, and so we got Victor Vincent. It's hilarious in my brain. I have a thing with names in this show. We do these on the nose names that are supposed to be descriptive of the character, and for some reason it's like a lot of things in the show. It's too corny. For me, if we did it with maybe one character, it'd be okay. But Brody is called Brody because he's got a obsession with, because he's got a brother that he hasn't seen in so long. And Victor always wins at everything,
except he doesn't.
Because he does. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Preston is named Preston because
that's I feel the one they could have gotten away with.
If they weren't generic enough to actually have his magician name be Presto Changeo, really, we did that. Okay. Again, even in Power Rangers,
it could have been Presto Preston something.
Sure, but. Really, you sent Presto Changeo? Really? Like, I'm embarrassed for you and your Power Rangers.
No. What it should have been obviously is that his magical call is not Presto, it's Preston. Right. That's
I'm fine with Presto. Anything else?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. It's that you said Changeo.
Yeah.
Like, I'm embarrassed talking about it, and it's Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Are my standards too high? I don't know what my standards are supposed to be sometimes with Power Rangers.
I don't know. It's above this.
Okay, but you felt the same way about all of this that I did, or at least a lot.
I mean, the name thing I didn't know is you said it to me.
Okay,
it was not a thing I picked up on.
Okay, that's But
fine. Part of that's because every time they say Victor Vincent, I flash back to the Fright Night remake. Where every time there's a commercial, it's Peter Vincent, and that's all I can think of when I hear the last name Vincent.
Again, one of them I wouldn't mind so much. Like that's kind of cute, I guess. Like he's named Victor because he's supposed to win all the time. Mm. The Brody thing bothered me more. I really don't like that. I don't know why. That one really bugs me.
No, that's totally fair.
Whatever. So you didn't pick up on it, but you get why it's annoying.
No, I did. Once you say it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, grown.
Anyways, so Victor is supposed to win at everything, but he doesn't. And everyone is supposed to love him, but they don't, except for when they do. And I just don't even understand this bully character. And, like, I get that it's...
Everyone hates him except for anytime he goes out for anything, and then they all cheer him.
Yeah.
Like they're mindless drones.
yeah, like he's the popular kid, so they're supposed to. Well, and they always do it like kind of halfway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of have their eyes rolled in the back of their heads. They're like, whatever, we're supposed to like this guy, but we don't. It's just even for Power Rangers, I can't get my head around it. I don't understand half of what they're doing a lot of the time. A lot of their plans and what they're after don't really make sense to me.
Mm-mm.
I just don't really know what they're doing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever disliked the Power Rangers bullet as much as that one.
They're bad. They're really and they lead to the thing that will make me never watch this show.
Uh-huh.
I will not watch the second half of the show.
There is a massive fart joke in the last episode.
If
Eric hadn't already told me about it because he felt like he had to warn me, I wouldn't have believed that they did it. And they bump up against it a couple times, where it seems like they might go someplace like that and then they don't.
Yeah,
I forget what exactly.
Like I thought I would get to the end of this and be like, yeah, they dance around crude humor a lot, and then they just have
go there
with green like gas plumes.
And what?
I was like, I can't. I'm done. Like I will finish this episode and that's it.
And the joke about it at the end almost makes it worse.
Yep.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But that really bothered me. And then that's the episode where we're supposed to suddenly finally like them, and they do that.
Yeah. No, I will never watch this back.
It's like that's supposed to be their charm or something. This potty humor thing.
Power Rangers is better than that.
Which I can't believe we're saying that.
No,
but it kind of is.
but Power Rangers is better than that. I think one of the things about Power Rangers is it's always sincere, and even if it's dumb, it doesn't think it's talking down to its audience.
Yeah,
this
sure.
is talking down to its audience.
Well, again, that's that self-awareness that it's kind of missing. And then, again, I know this is a weird thing to say within the context of this show, what the show usually is, but it's too cartoony.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of places where it's... Okay, so Mighty Morphin was cartoony in the sense that you would have characters that would suddenly transform into cartoons in the way they acted. Mm-hmm. And I'll go on record and say I never cared for that much either. But, like, you'd have Ernie, like, suddenly want to engage in a food fight when you wouldn't think he would be the kind of person that would do that. Mm-hmm. Or he would it would almost be like a button was pressed and suddenly he's dancing around with pie on his face. That was the cartoon level of that show. What this does is it breaks the laws of physics for even the internal logic of this show for the sake of jokes with the bullies, and it's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me flashes of Son of the Mask. And that's what it is.
No, that's totally fair. That's totally fair.
Things like the giant arrow where they shoot Monty through. I think it's Monty.
Yeah.
Through.
They're both gonna shoot, but then Victor gets off and
through the target. Yeah, and like.
It's dumb. It's really like.
It's just the wrong kind of. Like I keep saying that.
Better than this.
Yeah. And it's already a low bar. It's just not that hard.
It's not hard.
But like you said, like, weirdly, I like all the Rangers fine.
Except the Red Ranger. I mean,
yeah, but he's
red and yellow
annoying.
just kind of just fade into the background.
I don't like what they do with him. I don't have a problem with the actor.
No.
It's not like Megaforce, but I just don't like that guy.
Yeah.
I don't like the performance he's giving. He might be a fine guy in real life, but I don't like the performance he's giving.
You don't like that guy. Speaking of the character,
I don't like that character guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
So there's
the Gold Ranger's weird. You want to talk about the Gold Ranger?
I want to talk about
how he's famous and everyone forgets he's famous.
That is a Power Rangers thing, though. I feel like
okay, but I just want to point it out. It's funny.
No, it feels cheap and like it's really dumb that he's like this huge rock star, goes back to high school, and then we never bring it up again, even when there's a talent show. But
he doesn't want to even be in the talent show, and that's not for character reasons. He's just like, I'll sit this out.
But so there's two things. One is
okay, but the problem is the thing that brings him to fame does come up later and is important, and there's a whole music thing.
But no one ever
worst
addresses
song
the fact
I've ever heard in anything ever.
But we don't ever actually nobody ever comes up to him and is like, oh, you're that famous. We never address that again.
It's as bad as I Want Your Cray Cray, dude. It's that bad. You wouldn't think such a thing was possible, but it is. You remember Jessica Jones season 2? It is as bad as
and that was intentionally made to, I think, be the worst song it could possibly be.
They think this song is okay.
Yeah, they think this is it's talking down to its audience. So there's two things about the Gold Ranger.
Just use any standard folk song.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Row your boat. Hey, you want to see that song that our dad taught us together? Row.
Oh, my dad taught me that too. Yeah, and so did just popular culture. I saw Star Trek 5. I know that song.
Okay, so I have a good thing about Gold Ranger, and I have a weird thing about Gold Ranger. Which one do you want first? Not that one.
Give me the weird one first.
Okay, so the weird one is... The background for the character goes exactly... So, the Red Ranger is missing a brother. And I know a Gold Ranger's coming, and so I assume Gold Ranger's going to be his brother. And then I'm kind of blindsided, and I'm like, oh, that's not what it is.
It had been a while since I'd seen the pilot. I forgot all about the brother thing.
Yeah.
Forgot all about it.
So
I
was
did not
like,
have this.
I was like, oh, that's not what it is. Okay, we're doing something different. Cool. And then we bring in a robot.
Has he been around longer before we knew he was a robot?
Yes, he should have been there for like 3 or 4 episodes.
Because they do that whole episode where they try to get you on his side, where it seems like there's something off about him, and he's extreme, and he'll do whatever he feels like he needs to get what he wants, and then at the end it turns out that it was a misunderstanding and we just didn't understand the whole thing. But then there's a turn. It turns out that he, not a turn, but like it turns out, oh no, he really was bad all along.
Yeah.
And then the next episode, he's a robot.
Yeah. So we meet the Red Ranger's brother, and he's kind of a jerk. And then you find out that he's an evil robot. And that the Gold Ranger is in fact the Red Ranger's brother, but his memories were taken out of his head and put into the robot.
And this is a weird...
It went exactly where I thought it would, but it took the longest possible way around.
Yeah, almost like they... almost like maybe... they expected you were thinking that that's where they would go, so they threw in a weird red herring.
But they still went there,
and then they still went there, so that you would maybe feel more satisfied. Where you're like, "Well, I didn't think. Oh, you did the thing I thought you were doing. I've seen that work. This is not one of those things."
No, it's more like Heroes season 3.
Yeah. Okay. But okay, so this is maybe not a thing to bring up with Power Rangers. I'm not even really saying this is a problem within the context of a show like this, but I just want to ask you a question because I thought of it. They were younger kids, but even past puberty, you'd sort of be able to tell, wouldn't you?
I mean...
Maybe? And they weren't that young?
No, but... No, I give that...
Do you give it the...
I give them that.
Okay.
He's on a spaceship for like 10 years.
But would you give him that even if it wasn't Power Rangers? If this was a Netflix Marvel show, would you give him that? I don't know, I'm just asking. I'm not sure if I should give him that or not.
I mean, we kind of gave it to Jessica Jones, didn't we, right? Like...
Did we?
I mean, we can never really tell if her mom actually looks like she normally looks or if she has someone else's face on.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
But like if...
Well, no, you're right. She didn't recognize it right away.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah, so no. This is a Netflix quality writing.
All right. See, this is why I didn't want to go there. Because I knew... I was trying to put the genie back in the bottle, but I got 3 wishes now, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so my good thing with the Gold Ranger.
My first wish is I don't want to talk about that show anymore.
So I was excited to get to the Gold Ranger because I knew that in the Sentai, the Gold Ranger is American, which means he wears a poncho, his helmet, has a cowboy hat.
Is he played by an American?
Yes.
Oh, that's really interesting.
No, he's American.
I want to see that. Does he speak Japanese?
I believe so, yes.
That's really cool.
He has a guitar gun.
Yeah, the guitar gun's great.
He has a guitar gun, and...
They sell that. It's a cool toy.
Because...
Obviously, they sell that. I'm dumb. It's a Power Ranger show.
Because he's American, he loves hamburgers, and so he has and takes selfies.
He takes selfies.
Which tells me a lot about what Japan thinks about us.
That's right.
So he has a cell phone hamburger that he takes selfies of when they fight a monster. This is a lot to try and translate.
I was surprised that he didn't have like a Power Ranger selfie stick. Like I really expected that.
And I was like, we're either going to do the Super Mega Force thing, we're just never going to mention it. Well, I really just thought that's what we were going to do.
Like it's a pirate.
Yeah. Or I'm interested to see what you do.
They never talk about the fact that they're pirates.
Making him a country star who loves hamburgers is an honorable effort.
It is.
I was like, you know what, you kind of won me over on that. Like that's...
It doesn't explain why he's special and his interests wind up in his morph, because the other Rangers don't have that. No. And you could have maybe built in something with that. We don't do this enough with Six Ranger powers. We were talking about this earlier with the Comic Vault, with Green Ranger in the original series, where there is something different about it. And we'll just very often just connect it to the same morphin grid, and and just looks different for no reason. And sometimes we have good reasons. Like original Gold Ranger, there was a good reason. He's from another planet.
Titanium Ranger is a prototype like Super Morpher.
Oh, that's cool.
You saw that? We watched that with in the marathon. That's,
I guess I forgot that's what it was.
Lightspeed. But yeah, no, it's like a prototype Morpher that like nobody can handle, and he comes and steals it.
I don't like how you expect me to remember things that we talked over. Like,
but yeah, no. Sometimes we have. I don't know what Quantum Ranger is also experimental, like different.
I'm gonna try to remember things when we do Morphomania. But we'll get back there again.
Yeah, no, there's no explanation for, and he's not a Six Ranger, right? Like we don't treat him like he's a Six Ranger.
No.
What really surprised me is the way that
That's not to say they always go evil first.
No. What I mean is
could have done that with, and I guess you do have to give them. It's kind of fun that it's the brother he hasn't seen in a long time, and he's not evil first.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's cool.
What I mean by he doesn't feel like a Six Ranger, I mean like he looks different, but like once he shows up, he just feels like he's a Ranger.
The show doesn't suddenly become all about him. It's not centralized, because that's what we usually do, right?
Yeah.
It's like 7 of 9 or something. Like usually once the Six Ranger shows up, at least for a while, it's the Six Ranger show.
Yeah, but there's like when he gets his star, there's like 2 more stars in the big star.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, so we're doing the thing that we sometimes do. We're building. He is not the Six Ranger. It's going to be a larger cast. And he's just the next Ranger, and then we'll get another Ranger.
Maybe
that's
what Super does.
Maybe, but we didn't do that in this show, and that happens in like episode 9.
No, we did it at the end.
Well, but it's just 2 more Red Rangers.
Yeah, but that's what the finale does.
But I thought this was gonna be like one of the team building Power Ranger shows, because he didn't feel like a Six Ranger. He just felt like another Ranger.
That's fair, man. That finale, and like it was already a show I wasn't invested in, but it was more disappointing because there were things about it I liked. I liked Mick getting to be a Ranger.
Me too.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was a fun reveal. I like him.
He goes all the way back to at least the beginning of Disney era, if not before that.
Yeah.
He works in like all
he's
the
been
Power
around
shows.
for a long time, but I'm assuming that's the first time that actor's got to be a Ranger.
I think so.
That was fun. I liked that reveal a lot.
Me too. His dad came. The Red Ranger's dad came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but like the multiple Red Ranger thing was kind of fun. It's not as much fun because we don't keep going with it. I mean, everything I liked in that finale were things that needed to stick. The setup for that finale is terrible.
Yeah,
because
it really feels like it's the last episode. We got to do something.
That's what it is, because we don't build to it at all. And I realize we do this sometimes with Power Rangers, but I can accept that more if I'm enjoying the individual episodes more. And this is a show that keeps pretending like it's archier than it is when we finally get back to a thing. And I think that's a thing they've taken from Mighty Morphin that they needed to leave in Mighty Morphin.
Yeah.
There's ways that it wants to be the original series that we've kind of gotten past and we should have gotten past, and it got more sophisticated and we've kind of de-evolved it.
Well, it's 20 episodes, and I would say there's like 4 episodes in the middle. Like, there's the Gold Ranger and the Brother stuff, which I think is about 4 episodes altogether.
Yeah.
Everything else is basically just one-and-done Power Rangers episodes. There's no momentum to this show.
That are just your standard token, first season Mighty Morphin, somebody learns a lesson.
Yeah. And, like, Power Rangers does that. I'm not complaining that happens.
No.
I'm complaining that that's all that's in this show except for these, like, 4 episodes in the middle.
The problem is
go back and forth.
The premise lends itself to a more arcy show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And too often, because of all that episodic stuff, I keep forgetting that the Red Ranger was raised by the bad guy. We don't.
Oh, I completely forgot by the end of the show that the Red Ranger was raised by the bad guy. Yeah. No, me too.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I keep kind of forgetting what Mick even is.
He's like an alien or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was there on the ship, but I keep kind of forgetting, we don't do enough with him. We don't do enough with Redbot. We kind of keep forgetting about him, and then we go, oh, that's right, we have this Redbot thing, and then they do an episode for him, which is preposterous.
That's a really bad episode.
It's really bad, where he writes a book, and because the thing is, it's not like I got a lot of a sense of that character, but we make it clear in an early episode that the robot has feelings, and that it's not like a Data. It's more like a C-3PO or something.
Yeah.
But even more self-aware than that. and it has feelings and it wants to date and stuff, or it likes the idea of going to a dance at least. And then when it gets its own episode, it's suddenly it has so much it's so self-absorbed that it makes up stories about all the Power Rangers episodes and how it saved the day every time. And even in that episode, I don't get the sense that it has that kind of hubris or whatever. It's weird.
No. And what's weird is, like, he writes as a blog, but, like... And then, like, he becomes famous, but because they think it really happened. But why would anyone think that really happened?
Because you've never seen him.
Yeah.
He doesn't call a Zord or anything.
No, why?
No, that's true.
Why does it seems like it sounds like in-universe fan fiction. Why does anyone think it's real?
And there's nothing...
Like, it just breaks its own internal logic. I can't deal with it.
And this is going back to that thing I talked about earlier, where we just force weird character motivations that don't even go with the characters, and then they get away from it right away. That's not a narcissistic character, even in that episode. There's nothing about it.
No, and it's weird because the moral of the episode is like an anti-lying episode.
Yeah.
But, like, he wasn't lying. Like, it's weird because I was like, yeah, but he wasn't lying. Like, I guess kind
Well, he was. I mean, he would say he showed up at places he didn't show up.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt weird to me that, like, I was like, that's what we're taking away from this? Is don't lie?
And I had that.
That's like a much more complicated issue.
I had that with a lot of morals. Where I'm like, that's where we went with that.
That's what you thought you were teaching.
I wasn't totally sure. The way it ends is better than I expected it to be. I wasn't sure about the episode with Sarah's mom.
Yeah.
And I like that they're both tinkerers and inventors. I think it's kind of fun that she gets that from her mom. I mean that's unusual in, I guess, kind of the obvious way, where it's like we'll give these women a skill or an interest that we don't usually give girls, and look how progressive we are. But it kind of worked for me, actually.
Yeah, no, I
thought it was fun, and I love the hoverboard. I just like that she has a hoverboard.
Well, and
that's kind of fun.
I mean, mentor's the wrong word, but in RPM, like, Dr. K is, like, she's just a girl. And she's the one that makes everything. Well, that's actually pretty common, though. I'm thinking about it. It comes up a lot in Power Rangers. The girls that built the... Yeah. Well, and Hailing and Dino Thunder. Lightspeed has this. Yeah, good point. No, this is a recurring thing with Power Rangers. Well, and this is a thing that you and I... This is as good of a place to bring it up as any. You and I keep talking about this, where nobody gives Power Rangers credit for how ahead of the curve it was and continues to be with... Power Rangers is the most progressive show ever made in America. Yeah, with diversity and... Yep. Just giving... Getting away. I mean, it maybe plays with... It maybe does some stereotypical stuff, but it gets away from stereotypes a lot. Yeah. And it does not care about gender roles at all. It's not worried about that. But it's also not concerned with making sure that it's not worried about it. No, it doesn't pat itself on the back. It just doesn't care. It's completely gender and race blind. How is Power Rangers more nuanced? It is the most gender and race blind thing you've ever seen. How is Power Rangers way more nuanced and progressive about that kind of stuff than, like, Supergirl? Like, it's so weird. I think that, and it's been doing it since, like, the beginning, and no one noticed. Well, and I think that's because it's for kids, and I think this is probably somewhat accidental, but it kind of goes along with the way kids of the age that show is at least initially aimed at kind of think of things. Like, kids tend to be pretty colorblind up to a certain age. Well, and also, you have the thing where you can imagine yourself in a full body suit no matter what race or gender you are. Well, I mean, I guess gender you can kind of see, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Well, and the one big thing that I know people will throw at Power Rangers is not their fault, which is there's never been a girl Red Ranger except for SPD, but that doesn't count. Oh, I thought you were going to say like the black guy. No. Everyone knows that. Even if it wasn't a mistake in the first place, they've never done it again. Well, that's not true. There has been a Black Ranger, but not like they did there. Which even then, I've always heard the story. I've always heard is that they didn't realize accidental. They didn't realize they did it until they'd already shot a couple episodes. It's like, oh wait, this. I hope we don't get in trouble for this. Then they wondered if that was maybe bad, maybe a bad move. Maybe, but too politically incorrect. There's never been a female Red Ranger outside of SPD, which doesn't count. But all of that is not their fault. They are at the mercy of the footage that they're working from.
Yeah.
The Pink Ranger is the leader of the Time Force team. You just can't tell in the action scenes because they can't control that. But they've had female leaders. They're just not always the leader in the action scenes because they're using somebody else's action footage.
Yeah.
And
if
that's
they were
not their
shooting
fault.
all of themselves, then they would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Power Rangers is one of the most... But we watch Alien Rangers, female leader. Not a single comment about it.
But the thing with Sarah and her mom, that whole episode, I kept thinking, well, Sarah's in the right and her mom is being the idiot because it seems like she's not actually trying to be helpful. She just is insecure and wants to feel important.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the end of the episode and the lesson is for Sarah, and it's that she needs to be more patient with her mom, and her mom's just trying to help. And I wasn't on board with that.
Mm-mm.
At the end, they do play it where her mom wasn't totally in the right because she also apologizes, and I appreciated that. It won me over a little bit there, but that show kept doing that with things. That's just one example where you'd finally get to the spelling out the lesson portion, and I'm about to roll my eyes going, "Oh, you don't need to spell it out. I don't know what it is." And then it's completely different from what I've been watching this whole time.
Wait, that's the lesson you think we've been teaching?
She wasn't even really mean to her mom. I thought she was really patient for what her mom was doing. Like, she burns out the battery for the hover. She messes up the hoverboard, and she's like, "You're just here and doing this because you want to feel young again, or you want to feel like you're more part of my life, or whatever." I wasn't with the mom at all.
My favorite is the Preston episode with his dad with the ribbon tree. Where it seems like Preston just reaches up and grabs a random ribbon that is the one that his dad and his mom did.
So worse than that.
Is it?
It's so worse than that.
It falls, doesn't it?
It just blows out of the tree into his hand. Into the dad's hand. And if he hadn't picked that up out of the sky, that tree gets cut down.
Yep. And then his dad's like, "I forgot. Your mom and I did this on the day you were born."
He finds his humanity again in remembering the past, just grabbing a ribbon out of the sky. No, it's great.
Look, I get that, like, stuff has happened, but, like, I don't buy that he goes to tear that thing down, doesn't remember that on the day his son was born. That's something that's always present in your mind, but when you go to the tree, you will remember it, right? Like, that seems like a big stretch.
It's just not the right kind of sappy.
No.
Power Rangers is sappy. It's a weird kind of sap, man. I just couldn't get behind it.
Nope. It feels like it's for a younger age bracket than Power Rangers usually is. Like, Power Rangers is usually like 8 to 10. This felt like it was aiming towards like 4 to 6. And then had humor that they will laugh at but is inappropriate for them to be watching.
Yeah, but then at the same time, because it knows some people that are older than that are watching, it does more of the background material and parentage and stuff that we didn't feel the need to do in early Power Rangers. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that stuff. It's just, is it going to be slightly more sophisticated or isn't it?
Well, and I hate the theme song. I hate that it is a not good song, but at least it's its own song. And then we have to keep shoving in Go Go Power Rangers. Like, 2 songs are battling each other. I hate it every time the song came on.
It just feels like we kind of skipped to another radio station.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
And we've done this really well in the past. The problem is the second show with a different title did it brilliantly. Zeo was one of the best themes. Even going it doesn't Go Go Power Rangers doesn't feel intrusive in Zeo. It feels like the same chorus, the same song with a different verse. You know what I mean? Like Zeo just has different verses for the same song, melodically, and then you get into that chorus. Yeah, this is a different kind of song.
Yeah. Well, what's so weird about this is, okay, so like, this is part of that, like, they seem to only think that, like, there's that 3-year period where people cared about Power Rangers. It's been on for 25, but only 3 years is what people cared about.
Wait, and if we're going to bring it back, could we do it in the same kind of style? Does it have to be so bubblegum?
Yeah. But this goes all the way back to the beginning of Samurai, where, so every Power Rangers show up to this point has had its own individual theme. We give it Go Go Power Rangers, which only makes sense if you're trying to appeal to the adults. But you're not writing it in a way that the adults are going to care.
To a point, the thing is, it is like Beam Me Up and stuff in the zeitgeist, right? Like,
but you're not appealing to those people. That's all nostalgia stuff. Kids don't know that.
No, I get that, but there's a difference between nostalgia with what you actually experience in your memories and what is in the culture. No, kids will grow up and will hear Go-Go Power Rangers at some point. It's in the culture, and that would be their argument, I would think.
Well, then I would say, okay, and it never affected the show before this. Why? We've never gone back to this before and had a problem with it.
Way earlier in the Omnibus, I had a point, and I just thought of it again hours ago, about the It's Morphin' Time thing. I don't like that we're bringing it back now. I wish we'd kept it all the way through, but we didn't, and so it's weird to bring it back now.
I hate they don't have their own call.
It's always called morphing. There's no reason we ever needed to get away from It's Morphin' Time in any series. You can't tell me one series where It's Morphin' Time doesn't work.
No, sure.
But we got rid of it.
Yeah.
And we've had different calls for every show, and a lot of people enjoy some of those calls.
Yep.
It's weird to go back to it now in a show. Megaforce, it was okay because they were kind of trying to do another Mighty Morphin in a way. It didn't work, but I get what they were doing. The premise was it's sort of Mighty Morphin again. I wish they had waited until they did the dinosaur show. And that's kind of consistent because Dino Thunder is in a lot of ways also a Mighty Morphin show. Maybe we just do those when we get to the dinosaur theme shows. But I digress.
Well, but it was trying to be an anniversary show because they were doing the Ghost Ager stuff and
no, I get that.
Yeah, I don't know. But even
it's not like they knew dinosaurs.
Even Dino Thunder didn't say it's Morphin Time.
No, that's true.
It's never been a thing that we. Yeah, it's never been a thing that we have done again until Saban got their hands back on it, and I just don't know who it's appealing to.
No, and hear me out. Do you think that even with Sentai footage, if you wanted to go all the way and try... I'm not saying that they should do this, but if you wanted to go all the way and try to make the show much more like Mighty Morphin, you could.
Absolutely.
I don't know what all you would do with it, but
they've done it successfully, like Dino Thunder. Jungle Fury, I believe, is also kind of a throwback show.
Even with the footage they're using, if they wanted to have a more consistent... feel and have all the old stuff. Don't just have the couple of token phrases or whatever, and part of a theme song.
And it feels like they don't get it. What I think Saban
and then we can
thinks,
keep that continuity.
Yeah.
Season to season, and if it was well done, we'd probably accept it.
What I think Saban thinks is they go back, they look at Power Rangers. We've never been that big ever again.
Yeah.
Let's just do that again. But they have done that again, and they've done it better, and, it's not 1993. We did Mighty Morphin again with Dino Thunder, and with some of the other shows, it's not like we never went back to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you can't do the exact same thing, because it's not 1993. Times and sensibilities and everything has changed. And it feels like they keep trying to do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. And they don't know what worked about it the first time in the first place.
Well, and part of it was we didn't have these things back then here in this country.
Yeah.
Mighty Morphin, part of the reason, and I talk about this a lot in my Season 1 Rewind, if you haven't listened to that and you want to go listen to it, you'll hear me say this a lot more articulately. But we never had anything like that in this country, and some of it was the colorful costumes and the blend with the hard-edged rock and a show that isn't really that at all.
Well, and the fight choreography.
Yeah, and and the fight choreography.
We didn't have anything live action like that.
And we were in a period where, for whatever reason, some of it was Ninja Turtles, like the idea of ninjas and martial arts and things were really catching on. It was just, and in video games too, that was, because fighting games don't get big because of Power Rangers. Power Rangers gets big partly because of fighting games. You have, I just thought of that. So you have all those things. It was the perfect time.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
So you can't. It doesn't make sense if they're doing that to go back and be like, what was it back in 1993 that made no. You have to think it's been a big part of the culture all this time.
What do you do to make it stand out again?
Yeah, exactly. It's not actually that hard to get people interested, or at least some people interested, if you do something new and fresh and fun with it.
Yeah.
It's not recapturing the... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I feel like this was just another GNN. But before we move on, is there anything else about the show that you really want to talk about?
No. I think... Well, just real briefly.
Sure.
This is Japan thing before it's America thing, but, tops? Ninjas and tops? What is ninjas and tops? I don't get it. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, the ninja star...
we'll talk about fruit later, and that doesn't make any more sense.
Yeah, that's great. It's a little more self-aware about it. The ninja star thing is fun.
Yeah, but then they're...
I guess that's good. But what is this obsession with spinning with ninjas? Why do we keep doing that? Is it because of ninja stars? Because ninja stars spin? Is that what it is? Because we have spin jitsu with Lego, and then this is like ninja spin, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, moving right along. So, Eric and I each did kind of a He Made Me Watch for Power Rangers. We're not doing this on the He Made Me Watch show because we're doing another movie for that. We're going to do that a little bit later.
So it feels like we skipped Cap. We didn't. He did, in fact, get him Made Me Watch. We just put it in a different place where it made a little bit more sense.
We did skip me, but it's not a big deal. I'll get to do one next time. So, but we both...
We didn't. We did that one first. That was going to be the He Made Me Watch.
No, I know that, but then you get like an extra one.
I'll get an extra one. We just did 2 this episode. But
we didn't each do 2.
No, we each did 1.
No, you technically got 2.
I mean, if you count the Zuyranger stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make for the sake of this is that I need this to work to set up this premise. Sure. You had me watch a thing, and I had you watch a thing. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
So anyway, we're going to start with my thing. So Eric had never actually sat down and watched Alien Rangers, which is just the end of Season 3. And I want to start this whole thing off by just clearing the air about this for anybody that does not understand this. Netflix and the DVD releases and everything consider Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers to be a series. It's not.
In the
it's
same
just
way,
the
Zeo
end of 3.
or In Space. Or...
It's this weird, short, 10-episode season. Yeah, that's because it was just a arc. And yeah, they gave it a logo. But when it was on...
And they changed one word in the theme song.
It wasn't like they announced it like there's this new season. It was... I would love to go back and see the air dates and see if it was even a week in between. I mean, wouldn't that be great? If it wasn't even a week in between? Mm-hmm. But yeah, they changed the theme song a little bit. They throw Alien Rangers in there. We'll talk about that. It's weird that everybody calls them aliens, even if they're also aliens.
Yeah.
It's great. I think there are a couple of points where they even refer to themselves that way.
I think so.
So anyway, we did not watch the whole season. We just watched the Alien Rangers portion, but if you want to ever watch through Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, don't forget Alien Rangers. And it bothers me because I bet there are people who finished Season 3 and they're like, oh, that's weird, it just ends on a cliffhanger.
And then Zeo's next. They probably remember Zeo's next.
Yeah, and the thing is, it ends with them turning into kids, so they would be very confused. So I should also mention that Eric did watch the last episode before you get to Alien Rangers because that's where they turn into kids and it's a cliffhanger and you have to have it. But anyway, so Eric, you knew about a lot of what was in this show, but now you've actually experienced it.
I have.
So you got to see the Aquatar Rangers in action. You got to see it's Morphin time!
Every time. She's so excited every time. She's so excited.
I love it. And you got to see the hilarious and completely nonsensical way that the command center gets blown up.
Yeah. I also got to see a lot of things that don't make sense. I also got to see what I'm pretty sure was a pilot for Beetleborgs. Like, I'm convinced they made this season and then, like, that stuck in the back of their minds. And like,
are you saying that just because they call their Zords Borgs?
Well, they call their Zords Borgs.
The Alien Rangers?
You have the kids running around. Goldar and Rito are basically the monsters in the thing.
True.
No, this is where Beetleborgs comes from.
I never would have thought of that. I'm glad I watched this with you. Yeah, that's great. I didn't think of those other comparisons, yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that they do when they're running around as kids feels like Beetleborgs. Like, they don't have powers like Beetleborgs do, but Beetleborgs stop the monsters with, like, their powers all the time the same way that these kids pick up a giant bar of metal, like you build a building with it, like a beam. They get a beam, a steel beam, they tie it to a rope and swing it.
We don't know how they did it that fast.
6-year-old, 8-year-old children.
Kevin McAllister couldn't have done that.
Kevin McAllister could not have done that. But yeah.
Yeah, what we learn with this part of the season is that the joke is on Zordon because he doesn't need Rangers with powers.
Nope. The villains will take care of themselves. Any child
it's like
can
your
defeat...
chest. It'll take care of itself.
Yeah. Any child can defeat Goldar or Rido.
It might take a group of children, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you even need the kids there, but like...
And this has the most mind-breaking, please don't even try to make it, to understand it in any way at all, time travel mechanics in anything.
And then we get to the end, and I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. Like, that's really smart. Oh, but immediately after that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I said don't think about it. You want to break a little bit of it down just because it's funny.
Absolutely.
Just because it's hilarious.
So we play on Superman the movie logic, where we spin the Earth backwards, and that makes everything go back in time. We're not really consistent about that.
When we go back in time, everyone stays in the place where they were in the future. That's one thing. So if you went back in time, you'd be in wherever place you were back in time. But that's not what we do.
Also, sometimes things have physically altered to be where they were at that time, but other times things have not done that. We have no old cars. I get that's expensive, but we don't redress any set.
This kind of makes Legends look like Back to the Future. It's hilarious.
But Zordon Alpha, we're in the middle of spring cleaning at this point in time, and so the command center isn't plugged in. The best reveal in this whole thing is we spent 3 episodes with why don't we have power?
It's not that long, but yeah.
Oh, we didn't. It's not. The whole command center apparently runs off one cord, and it wasn't plugged in.
Guys, we were spring cleaning back in 1980, whatever.
Yeah. When that 19
and we
whenever
looked
this takes
pretty
place.
Inconsistent about people's ages. You kept pointing at older people and going, that person is 114 years old.
Yeah.
And it was really funny.
Yeah, because some of the people are still old people. It's almost halfway through.
Well, it's because of characters that seem to get insanely freaky young when it could have only been a few years, because you're talking about teenagers who are supposed to be 15 or 16 who go back to 12. It should have only been 3, 4, 5 years, right? But Stone went from, you pointed this out.
He's 40 and he goes down to 15. If that.
So you kept pointing out people that were 60.
Yeah.
And you were like, they must have been on their deathbed. Or maybe they were dead. We kept joking about that. It's I wonder if that person was dead in the future. Anyway.
And then, at the end, we do it again. We do it back, or we put it right. And
before you get to the end, though, we have to talk about Adult Billy. Where is he living? What is
Adult Billy's life? Everyone talks to him.
They're able to age him back, which I don't understand how that would even work, because you're the age you are because you went back in time. We keep acting like we turned people.
Yeah, we act like we de-aged them with a ray,
which is what happens the first time they turn into.
But I also think halfway through this, they forget that the entire world is younger.
Do. They clearly forget that.
And they just think it's the Rangers have been. They think a ray was shot at the Rangers and Bulk and Skull and turned them into kids. They forget.
But at the same time, they have everyone not remembering that there were Power Rangers. They keep some of that stuff consistent.
I think they forget that stuff too. Not forget, but everybody gets used to the Power Rangers. So by the time you get to the second half of the series, no one has that because everyone knows the Power Rangers exist, right?
What do you mean?
Well, after the first couple episodes, everyone knows they exist now, and so it's just status quo as normal for them, as well as normal age Angel Grove people.
Yeah. That's fair. I still got the sense that there were places where they were acting like it was kind of new. I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, I don't know, it's really inconsistent. We have episodes that end with Rita being but I have a brilliant plan. The next episode, Zed's just
right.
She
doesn't get to do her plan.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that. We're we kind of leave off on a thread, and then it doesn't exactly match up.
But yeah, talk about what happens when we do turn time back. I had to mention Adult Billy, because that's hilarious. What do his parents think are going on?
Where is his lab?
Okay, so the lab thing didn't make sense. Then it didn't make sense. Then
it didn't make sense.
Then I had to rewind to see an establishing shot I was sure I saw, and lo and behold, that's what. This is great. So, Billy is working in a laboratory, and he's a teenager again, and by teenager I mean a 25-year-old man named David Yost, and he is he's in what looks kind of like the lab he has in his house that we see in other episodes, except it's in his garage. And I'm like, is he in his house? And would young Billy have all that? And wait a minute, how's he in his house?
What do his parents think is going on?
What do his parents think are going on? How is he even, like, functioning in society? And he talks to people who are just already used to him, and I don't know, is he running around with a fake ID? What exactly is going on? I get it, it's Power Rangers, not going to explain that stuff. But, at the very least, if we show people's parents, that has got to make some kind of sense, right? Some kind. So, then, I realized too late, oh, he's actually in the high school lab.
Because a teacher who, again, does not question who he is or where he's from
at
is
all.
like, I'm so glad that you're working in the lab at school.
Yeah, so they let him in there, and he's working on stuff for the Alien Rangers, hydration something. Because we're always
we will talk about
trying to hydrate them. And then, because they need water to survive, but they're really inconsistent about who has had water when and stuff. Anyway, and so then, they think it's what I thought it was for a brief moment when we come back from commercial and there's an establishing shot of the outside of a house!
And then we're in the lab.
But then we're inside the high school lab!
Yep.
Oh, that is my new favorite Power Rangers nitpick. And in Power Rangers, such things are nitpicks.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep.
So anyway, so then time goes forward.
Well, before that, that we have a whole like history thing, which none of it makes sense because sometimes it feels like it's vision, sometimes it feels like they're physically back in time. I don't know what's happening with Kat. But so
I don't either.
Aisha goes back in time,
but that actress is hilarious.
Aisha goes back in time, and she decides to stay behind and help people. Which we had a whole thing about how, like, oh, it would be really cool
There's a plague with the animals, and she thinks she can fix the plague.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, it's really cool because the age she is... Because we figured out timeline-wise it can't have been more than a couple of years ago. So, like, we were like, oh, she can grow up, and she might be a little bit older than the Rangers, but she could come back. Like, you could do something with that. And then... So she switches places with Tanya. Tanya comes forward to the future, and Aisha stays in the past. Then when the Earth resets and all the Rangers become the same age, Tanya ages up, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like they thought about this.
You get stupid watching Power Rangers, right?
Except we then look at the viewing globe and see that Aisha also re-aged in the past. I don't understand.
How does this time travel work?
Because based on that logic, everyone around her should also have aged up.
Well, unless their crazy logic is, but she's from the future.
But then why does it affect Tanya? She's from the past.
Well, that's a great question. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. In the most fun way to complain about possible. That's the thing is that when we complain about these kinds of things in Power Rangers, we're hardly not complaining because that's what makes it fun. Because if that stuff wasn't there... And that's why, and that's the difference between this and something like Ninja Steel, where those inconsistencies are not fun to point out.
Mm-hmm.
They just feel manufactured and weird. And
because this is a show essentially, like this isn't finding what it's going to later be, and that has already been what it's going to become, and is now devolved.
Yeah. With this, I'm like, it's fun. It's fun to poke holes in and talk about because it's like, it's a quagmire. I don't know. What makes you think to do it that way? It's just really funny.
And there's a lot of that where it's like that. I don't... Okay.
Why would you do it like that?
Yeah. So we should talk about the Alien Rangers.
Why does Rito have popcorn in the command center? I don't know.
Why does it take him 10 episodes to blow up command center?
When you could have put the bomb anywhere, apparently.
Because it's big enough to blow up the entire command center.
And when at the end, all they have to do is teleport in, and they don't need power coins to do such a thing.
The teleporting doesn't make any sense. The teleporting doesn't make any sense.
And then you'll find out, even though they teleported out, when we get to Zeo, it somehow still got to them and made them lose their memories.
Yep. So we should talk about the Alien Rangers, who are the most useless people. But
I love them anyway. All
the Power Rangers get DH be little kids, so we say, hey, or Zordon says, hey, you're not the only Power Rangers, there are other Power Rangers out there on other planets. We'll ask these ones that live in an entirely water world And they say like, yeah, we'll come help you. And they're like, but are you sure? Like, we're not water. And they're like, you're 70% water. We're totally cool. We then spend the next 10 episodes doing nothing with these characters but them acting tired and wanting water.
They're doing this weird robot head thing.
You get that for an episode or two, or it's a ticking clock. And we gradually get so that when we're near the end, to the climax, they're barely able to hold on.
Sure.
Every episode, they feel like they're about to die. And I got so bored
and
with
I don't know what pure water means.
No, they keep saying that they need pure water.
They can't use all the water that's around them because it's not pure, but then
they go to a car wash, and they're fine.
That's pure?
For like 5 minutes, they're fine.
I don't understand that. The couple that go, I mean, like, I think if you really tracked it, there's at least one that should be dead by the end.
And there's one who should not be having any issues whatsoever. He's faking it. He just wants more water.
Is that Sestro, or...?
Yeah, I think so. One of them that's in the car wash is also the first one that gets to go into the water in the next episode. And that's not fair. I believe in equality for all the aliens, and like that's not fair. Equal water distribution is all I'm saying.
And it's hilarious because, like we said earlier, we keep calling them the Alien Rangers when we know where they're from, and we call them the Aquitians. And they can just be the Aquitian Rangers.
And they morph with like a Aquitian alien power or something like that.
Yeah.
That's their like morphing call.
Yeah, they have a morph
they
call
should
with,
be the
with
Aquitian
Aquitar in it,
or the Aquitian Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are, but then everyone, including other people that are aliens from other worlds...
Zordon refers to them as aliens.
Alien Rangers.
Zed refers
which is
to them
weird
as
because
aliens.
Then that makes it feel like it's branding, because they're going to sell toys.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. And you can have the show logo say Alien Rangers, but they refer to themselves... Everything in the show calls them Aquitians.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What's weird is, Lord Zed, who I don't even know where he's from... It's like, oh, those pesky alien Rangers.
You're also an alien. You live on the moon with Rito and with Rita and her brother Rito, and you hate her father, who's from another place in space.
Yeah,
Master Vile,
and he pieces out real fast. Master Vile's there for a little bit, and then he's out.
I love Master Vile. He's great.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
But I love the organ music with Master Vile.
Of all of the things in the show, the Alien Rangers are the thing that I like the least.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I got tired of them talking about water, and I got tired of them talking about water really fast.
It's a nostalgia thing, because this was my Power Ranger era, and so I can't look at it critically. I mean, I can, but it doesn't hurt it. That's all annoying, but like I didn't see it now for the first time.
I never got tired of it's morphin' time. Like that was great. Every time it got me. Every time I was like, oh, she said it again. Like that. Every delivery is exactly the same. And that's fun. But, like, I didn't like the water...
Was the time travel your favorite part?
Probably. Maybe. Well...
Like goofy, crazy.
And I also didn't like that they do the robot thing for no reason. That was weird. That was a weird choice. Okay, so then the second half of the show, we send the Kid Rangers back in time, but not Billy, because we know that the next Sentai we're going to reset the Ranger number... And we have to lose a Ranger.
To be one?
Yeah, we have to lose a Ranger, so Billy's the one that doesn't get to go because something. He's been aged up, and therefore he's less likely.
So it turns out that we aged him as a weird plot reason to not send him back in time.
Yeah.
Which is a really strange contrivance that you'd never see coming. Because not only did you not know that we were going to send these Rangers into the past to get Zeo shards, but you also didn't know that would preclude you from getting to do that. So you can't morph if you're a kid, but you can't go back in time to your ancestors or whatever with some of them if you're not a kid.
We also have...
At least there are rules, I guess.
We also have these weird things about the Zeo Crystals. The Zeo Crystals are, like, buried, right? Like, they're hidden. They're hidden away. And you have to go
Krispy Kremes.
And you have to go back in time to find them.
Right.
But no one found them back in time. So why can't we just go get them now?
Because the people that can tell you where they are back in time.
Why do those people know where they are?
Because people before them told them where they are.
Why don't you just observe the viewing globe since it goes through time and just watch why do they know this? And this is where it gets weird because this is where it gets weird. Is sometimes it's very much like they got sent back to the past, and sometimes it's more like a spiritual vision questy thing. But when we got to when we got to Kat, that's clearly like a spiritual vision quest thing. I then started thinking that they all might be like that because they all Well, first of all, there's no other actors, but they all just meet like exactly the spirit guide. Like Rocky's pretty clearly set in the past, but like Tommy could go either way. Tommy could physically have gone to the
problem
past.
is Rocky meets actual ancestors.
Yeah. Adams is weird.
So you're saying like maybe they were never actually there. But then if it's just a spirit quest, but then physically where were the Zeo crystals?
I don't... the power was in them the whole time?
Oh, it was within them?
You can't explain Cat to me. Like, that's the problem is...
No. No, that's just a surreal, looks like it was totally in your head. Like, almost like she was wandering around Australia, and there are actually people we don't see that are pointing at her going, what is this girl doing?
Is she secretly a clone? Is that what it is?
Australia
nothing but cats?
Are they like... Maybe they're like putties.
All women in Australia look like her.
Is that... But she didn't grow up realizing that though, because she's like, you're me. So she doesn't know that they all look like her.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that whole thing was bizarre.
And they have like this ending where
there's no
like
consistency to what the past Vision Quest thingies are. They're all different.
Yeah, my favorite thing with Cat though is that at the end, grown up Cat, that's not little kid Cat. Because Cat meets a woman that looks identical to her, and an old woman that looks identical to her in old woman makeup.
Yeah,
is that the older Cat like has like a thing where like she like where it's like a wink, like it's. I feel like it thinks it's communicating something to me.
Well,
like
also,
that's what's happening, but it's not. I don't know what's happening.
She disappears. She's a power something.
Yeah, and I think if we rewatch it, we should pay attention. I think if we rewatch it, there are other people that disappear on the other quests.
Oh, are there?
I think.
I didn't notice that.
I think there's at least one other person that disappears. It's very weird, and I don't know how I feel about it.
The elderly spirit guide for Tommy is like a total jerk.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, right?
I like Adams.
Is he the one I'm thinking of?
No, you're thinking of Adams, right? The guy who Adam has to learn. It's the Yoda thing, right? Like where Adam has to.
Well,
learn
no. There's that,
master.
but isn't it the one with Tommy that's like don't worry, believe in yourself. If you don't, and then the very next thing he says is like, if you don't manage this, you will be trapped here forever.
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
Don't worry, it's all going to work out. But if it doesn't, you're stuck here forever, and the world's going to end because you didn't get back to save everybody.
He's like, be calm. There's nothing to worry about. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, and you won't be able to get through this if you're not calm.
Yeah,
but just so you know, if you do mess this up,
he just immediately says that. I'm like, that's not the next thing to say. What is wrong with you? I like that actor a lot. He was quite good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
And the guy with Adam was really good too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I feel like those guys were like real actors that maybe could be in other things that like real.
The one who comes to Adam, it looks really familiar to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him in some other things. But no, I liked it. As a whole, I just wish I didn't have to listen to the Alien Rangers talk about water, and like, I wish so much.
It's funny that you dislike that more than some of the child acting.
No, because that was funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's not funny to watch people complain about not having water and keep getting water, and it's never enough. Like, I kept waiting for the one where it was like, and now we're refreshed, we're going to act like normal people for the rest of the season. It was never enough. They always wanted more.
Yeah, there's no rules. We don't know what the clock is. We don't know.
Also, Hydro Hog, the Emperor of the Deep Sea,
is just a regular Power Ranger monster.
Yeah, but they beat him.
He's a genie hog. But
so they don't even need to be Rangers now, right? They go back home and like...
Oh, that's a good point.
He's not there.
Yeah.
They could just give him ninja powers, right? They could just beat Hydro Hog and then they didn't need Power Rangers.
Yeah, because you can't be a Ranger unless there's a constant threat.
Yeah, and he's not there anymore.
I didn't even think of that. But they do stay Rangers, because we see him again later.
Yeah. At least in Forever Red.
No, Zeo, dude.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because Billy goes off and marries one.
But she's not in Ranger outfit, is she?
No, but I'm pretty sure they just still are Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they come back and actually morph again, but I might be, or somebody does. There's an episode where one of them crashes in a ship, and I'm pretty sure they're still morphing. I also have a theory that if I'm correct about the Alien Rangers designs, which is that their heads are exposed brains, that Billy is into them because they've got big brains. Yeah, that's my theory. And then we wondered, but if that's your head, why does one of you have hair out the back of it?
Yeah.
That was weird.
It was weird.
I was confused by that. Okay. We also We watched lots of TV, Eric.
We watched a lot of TV.
Are you ready to talk about more TV?
I'm ready to talk about more TV.
Okay.
So ready.
Does Eric look ready to talk about more TV, folks? We also watched, this was Eric's choice, we watched the Zuyranger Green Ranger saga. So I finally got to see where the Green Ranger stuff comes from, and I've watched a couple episodes of this before.
You watched the first couple when I first got here.
Yeah, but I never watched all of that. And it was actually 6, wasn't it?
It's 6. It's one more episode than ours. But we couldn't have adapted that because most of it, the Green Ranger is in a cave. And he just kind of comes out at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what would we have done with that footage?
That's...
It's a Japanese guy. He's wakes up and he comes out.
And it's sad because a lot of the best martial arts in that is out of costume, so we couldn't use that stuff either.
Yeah. The Red Ranger Green Ranger fight is really cool.
But yeah, so the best thing about their version with Green Ranger, of course, is that he is not brainwashed and he
kind of has a motivation.
Yeah, and he's, I mean, like, he's not straight up evil, but he's not a good person.
Yeah. He's
a conqueror guy.
Yeah, his dad told him that he's supposed to be king, and so he wants to be king.
Yeah. Because he thinks he's entitled to it.
Yeah.
Sure. And so, but
his dad told him this, by the way, while he was dying, and the Red Ranger's dad had just killed his dad.
And he's the Red Ranger's brother.
Yes.
And by the end of it, it's a light switch, and he turns. He just becomes a ranger, just like.
Yeah, he just kind of like realizes like, oh, I've been kind of bad, and then the scary child comes in, and tells him,
which is horrifying,
and tells him, by the way, you can hang out in this room, but if you leave, there's a clock. You have like 60 hours or something. If you spend. And every time you spend out there, you're going to die. It's a green candle. Once this candle will only burn and melt when you're outside of this room, and once it's gone, you're dead.
How's that for consequences, man? Like,
yeah,
that was really cool. And you said that continues, and he actually
he dies.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. In the episode entitled,
I don't. So whoever dies, I forgot what it is. Something time runs out. I can't remember what it is.
Let me find it. Bry's deathly departure, which is followed by Blaze Bry, and then episode 42 is Barai dies.
It is called. That's the best. Spoiler alert! If you just open that up, you're like, okay, I know that he's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He's so much cooler than the Green Ranger. Like, even the footage that's the same.
Yeah.
It feels cool. Like, the first thing he does, he wakes up. For those that don't know...
That actor is so intense, man.
He's so intense. He's great. For those that don't know, the premise of Zuyranger is that there are these ancient dinosaur people that went to sleep, were put in cryogenic sleep in case the evil witch Pandora's ever woke up again and was ever freed from her prison. So, hundreds, thousands, millions of years later... she does get woken up, and so they come out, and then we find out there's actually one other ranger who was sleeping, or was put in like a cryogenic sleep. And he comes out, and immediately the first thing he does is jump on the Megazord and kick all the rangers out. Like, that's the first thing we see him do. It's so much cooler. Than just it's like the third episode of Green with Evil, right?
Yeah. Well, and everything about this show is grander and more epic because we're dealing with a lot of celestial and cosmic ideas. So the Megazord itself is God,
which my favorite
makes
line
no sense
in the entire series.
And we should mention, it's maybe more epic. It's maybe grander. It, at the end of the day, doesn't always make more sense than Power Rangers.
No. And there's a fairy tale logic to the whole season.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll just like go from here to there, like
maybe if you watch
it
all, it's a little bit clearer what that logic is supposed to be than it is with Power Rangers. But like, it isn't that it necessarily makes more sense, but it is more inventive. And I know that this isn't considered one of the better Sentais. You told me that.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't as inventive and creative as it was, Power Rangers would not be what Power Rangers
No, absolutely.
is.
Sorry.
Sorry.
My favorite thing with the Megazord being God, which I've never understood, is there's a point. So Bandora, which is Rita, the evil witch Bandora says, like, she gives like to the hour, right? In this much time, I'm going to destroy the Megazord, who's called Daijujin, and we have their like Zordon type character, and he's flipping through this big book, and he's like, "Well, I've discovered we don't really know much of we don't really know much about Daijujin other than that he is God. And that's the end of the conversation, basically. Like, we never get more, we never elaborate more. Like, I've seen this whole series, we never elaborate, he just is God. God is solar powered, obviously.
Yep. But you don't have to worry when your Megazord is God that you're not on the side of good, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
and they're sentient,
those
and they talk, and the
very rare points in anything where people can say, like, I fight on the righteous side of God, and it's God. It really is.
Yep.
Assuming he's, like, good God.
But they even changed,
But
they even changed God's mind. Because he tells the Red Ranger, you must kill the Green Ranger. And the Green Ranger realizes that he's done wrong, and God's like, oh, well...
Guess you don't have to do that now.
I'm gonna combine with the Dragon Zord. And now, we have whatever that
So if the Megazord is God...
What is Dragon Caesar?
Zord?
I don't know.
What is it?
I don't know what Dragon Caesar is.
It's just been hanging out in the ocean for a long time. And now he's back. And why would God pick Rangers? I guess he doesn't even pick it. I guess
no, he
it's
doesn't
the Zordon-like guy. But why would God
he hasn't picked them either. Because they're from millennia ago.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
They're just the leaders of their tribe.
Again, it's grander.
It makes a little bit more sense, I think, if you think of it in a more what's the word I'm trying to think of? I want to say cultural, but that's not the right thing. Tribal.
Yeah.
So each tribe has an animal. There's a Tyrannosaurus tribe. There's a saber-toothed tiger tribe.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like each tribe has its own god, and then those gods form together to make God. Like it makes a certain amount of sense. I guess.
So it is.
It's weird when God combines with other things, and is he more God?
Yeah.
It's like super.
So it
God?
is a pantheon, but it becomes.
It's like a combiner pantheon.
Really monotheistic.
I don't.
It's sort of like
it's like if Zeus was made up of the other, or
if it's like the triune.
Yeah.
Except it's not like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's like Triceratops, Pterodactyl, and
Sign me up.
Eric and I are gonna either go to or start that church. But anyway, so why would God need people to control God? And he doesn't.
And sometimes he doesn't.
Because he does stuff all by himself, but then he
wants them to feel important. It's a placebo thing, right? Like, he wants them to feel important.
Sure. And then there's also Satan, but we didn't get to Satan. But there is Satan in the show.
Yep. Great Satan exists.
Who is Lokar in Power Rangers. I talked about Lokar in my review.
Also, there's more to the Green Ranger dagger song that we just didn't use for some reason.
Yeah. It at least is in different keys. It keeps changing keys. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. I don't think much.
We must have the audio. Why wouldn't we do that?
I don't know. Well, I was surprised it was the same melody.
Yeah.
That was the thing I didn't know. Going back to this, I was like, oh, it's still... But then there is a little flourish in between that same chorus over and over again, and then it changes... like I said, it keeps going up and down octaves, so... Keeps changing keys.
It feels like there's actually a song being played, not like a melody.
I mean, it is still sort of just a music box kind of thing, but it's at least longer.
Yeah.
It at least has a little bit more variety. They play it a lot more than they do in Power Rangers.
And Dragon Caesar, when he shows up, which is Dragon Zord, he just wrecks house. And you see people running away, and like there's some collateral damage from all of that.
Oh yeah, and there's stuff that is on the other side of footage we've seen, where it's like in Power Rangers, the Dragon Zord has his tail and he just rips through a thing, and we see that I think more than once. I think the Dragon Zord keeps ripping through that same piece of like building that's I think in a construction site or something. In Zuyranger, we see the other side of it and people running for their lives, and it's hilarious. Like, we don't need that in Power Rangers.
No.
But yeah, but I really enjoyed seeing where all that came from. It's really
Zuyranger's not a
educational.
great show, but it's educational. If you only know Power Rangers, it's fun to go and see.
I got to see the Pandora song, which I knew about, but I didn't know it was in those episodes.
Yeah, she loves
that was
singing.
fun. It's always weird when we cut that. A lot of what's fun to go back to this, if you really know Power Rangers, is just seeing where stuff comes from.
Yeah, there were certain scenes where we use that shot all the time.
Over and over again. Yeah. Especially if you go back through Mighty Morphin like I just did recently, or through the first season of Mighty Morphin like I did recently.
Yeah, it's interesting how many of those came from that. Like, there was a number of Rita ones where you were like, yep, that's a shot we use.
That over and over again, and that's a smirk she likes to use. And
which is completely different context in the Sentai.
I also learned, because this was a conversation my wife and I had a couple weeks ago when I was working on that review that we were wondering about, because Sarah has now watched the Power Rangers. She used to not want to do that, but for some reason sat down with me and watched some of this. And she was like, I wonder if in the Sentai, Rita actually talks about having a headache. And she does.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by that. Because Sarah made a really good point when she brought that up. She was like, well, maybe holding your head just means something different to her. And then in America, they had to make up something like, I guess she has a headache. No, she has a headache.
Also, Goldar, who is Grafforza in this, is married to Scorpina, who's Lammy.
And he doesn't speak, but then he gets his voice back in this.
And it's hilarious. When he gets his voice back. And immediately the first thing he says is, women should stay home.
It's hilarious.
There's this weird thing in the show that I had when I was actually going to do a whole review of this, but where with Scorpina and Bandora, with Lammy and Bandora, we have this real hey, women are just as good as men thing.
Yeah.
But then we never do that with the Pink Ranger. Her whole episode is about her finding her own self-worth. It's really weird. We are more progressive with our villains than we are with the actual female on the team.
That's weird.
Also, if you didn't know, there's only one girl because Yellow Ranger is a boy named Boy.
He's a boy named Boy. Anything else you want to say about that?
No.
That's what that was like.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun to watch.
If anyone...
I said, it's so... sorry, real quick. All that trippy stuff with the super creepy little girl that imprisons him, and or makes it so that he can't leave without dying, because the candle's going to go down. I was riveted by all that.
Yeah. If anyone doesn't know, Shout Factory has been putting out unfortunately only the Power Ranger seasons. Apparently the season right before this is one of the best Super Sentais ever.
And they're just not putting it out.
But they have put out if you've ever heard Power Rangers based on a Japanese show, starting with the first show Mighty Morphin is based on, we have put out everything up through, I think Time Force is the next one. So we've done a lot of it. You can go buy all of these. They're $40. I would recommend doing that.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The next TV thing that we're going to talk about is Kamen Rider Gaim. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about a thing that is also not Power Rangers, but not related to Power Rangers.
It's also Tokusatsu.
But it's also Tokusatsu, and in Japan, it does crossovers.
Yes.
With
yearly we do a movie crossover,
Sentai, and we did use Sentai footage once with Power Rangers with Masked Rider, because Masked Rider was an
Although I think that one is actually all us.
Oh, is it really?
The actual crossover is all us.
I didn't know that. That's weird.
Yeah, because Super Sentai and Kamen Rider don't cross over until the 2000s.
But there's stuff in it that looks like it has to be them?
It's probably Sentai footage.
Okay.
But I don't think... I'm almost positive Masked Rider Black RX does not, or Kamen Rider Black RX does not cross over with Zuyranger.
Interesting.
I don't even know if the timelines would line up for that to be possible.
So, I've never actually sat down and watched Kamen Rider. I've had a few people forever.
That's not true. You watched some Wizards.
Yeah, but we talked over it. I mean, But I've never, besides that one, and I was going to mention that. Yeah, I watched one episode one time, but I've never actually sat down and watched any of the show.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to see Gaim, because back before it came out, Eric sent me pictures of what some of the costumes looked like, and he was like, "This show's gonna be amazing, and we're gonna have to watch this." And I never got around to it. And finally, because we're doing this Power Rangers thing, I watched some of it, and
we watched the first 3 episodes. We watched 2, and I was like, hold on, we have to do one more.
Well, and I wanted to. I mean, I will probably finish it.
Because we got Banana in the 3rd episode. We had to get to Banana.
It is absolutely wild, and I've never seen anything quite like it. And I just loved it. I couldn't get enough of it, and it made me hungry. So, Gaim is it combines 3 things: Like, there's some kind of mandate on high that says you need these 3 things in your show, or I guess...
The toy company decided these were going to be the themes that they were going to sell this year.
So...
Well, 2 of them are the things that they're selling that year.
So it's fruit, and it's padlocks.
Yep, and then there's like a samurai
breakdancing.
thing. The breakdancing does not come from the toy people.
No, I know that,
the
but that's also a thing that's in... okay, and the samurai stuff. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The writer came in and was like, okay, so you want fruit and padlocks. What about breakdancing? Can I do that? I'm going to do that.
Those are not 2 things you would immediately put together. It's hilarious. You have a padlock. The padlocks do a couple of things. They make it so that you can have fights with monsters.
Because
from
there's
another
like
dimension.
Zippers in reality?
Yeah, that people are just used to seeing open all the time. This is not one of those worlds where the heroes know about the secret, magical society. Everyone, it's just a part of everyday life in this. I love that. I don't see that much. It's really funny.
And there's some really fun commentary about just how easily we get used to things as you get later on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this was not a world that's always been like this. It's a recent phenomenon.
It's just normal here. Humans are very adaptable creatures, apparently. And maybe they get too used to things too quickly. And think they can control stuff that maybe they can't control. That's in there, too. Because very quickly... I don't know how to discuss this.
Okay, so it's a world where there are people who are there's groups of teenagers who are breakdancers, and there's this system set up where they breakdance on a stage. But if another breakdancing team shows up and they say we want this stage, you don't have a dance off like you might think. You pull out padlocks and summon interdimensional monsters to fight for the stage.
How did they get to this arrangement? I don't know.
Some of that is actually explained later.
Wow, really?
Yeah, no, because this is all like a master plan kind of a thing. Well, more of a distraction, but...
so somebody intentionally, screwed with the culture.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of talk about... that's what I'm saying, we kind of deal with the adaptability of man in that someone intentionally did this.
It looks like a weird... alien world that looks like ours but has this one bizarre component and it's supposed to feel strange. The thing is, because I'm looking at something another country's making and I've seen other Japanese things where there are weird things that are just kind of normal and par for the course in that thing.
It's not super far away from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that.
I didn't expect that when I was...
Pokemon.
I didn't expect that I was supposed to feel weird like I felt.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So the padlocks summon these monsters... and then there's a guy named Sid who sells they're called lock seeds. He sells them to people. He's like the local dealer for lock seeds, and he has this one kid come and he's like, I got something better than lock seed. I got this thing. It's a belt. And then the main character who's trying to be an adult but not doing a great job at it. He's kind of like in between. And he's not really sure why. He wants to be an adult, but he's not really motivated to be an adult at the same time.
He just wants it to already be that way.
Yeah, he just wants to be an adult. He's the other guy, they all used to be friends, and now he's being an adult. And his friend calls him and says, I have to show you something. He goes there, and there's just a giant zipper in the side of a building into a forest, which, shocker, is where the monsters from the zipper dimension come from.
That's where they come from.
And
when you see them fight in normal space-time...
they're like this big.
And it looks like a hologram, and that's what I thought it was at first. But then, apparently, if you drop your padlock, then the monsters can just leave...
And just start attacking people. So he goes through and he finds...
It actually looked really good.
Yeah. And his friend is nowhere to be found, but he finds this belt, and he puts it on, the monster attacks him, and he turns into an
orange guy.
An orange guy.
He turns into an orange guy.
And
he gets an orange on his head. Opens up, and he gets an orange on his head, and for a minute, he's an orange head guy. It looks like maybe it's just going to be his helmet. And then it's better than that because he has like a normal Kamen Rider helmet, but they sort of normal because it's still got like a fruit motif. Anyway, so the orange peels because it's an orange, right? And then it becomes part of his armor. It's
and like a juice splash.
It's like if the Green Ranger, Ranger's gold. Or orange, but it's like if the Green Ranger's gold shield thing was orange. Right?
Yeah, and then it folded down.
And
although
the suits
are a little bit better
weapon is. I forget what that looks like.
He has He has an orange sliced sword.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it looks really good.
And then he's got the gun sword thing that all of them have.
Yeah, because you have to have a gun.
Yeah. Well, it's like a gun
It's like
sword
Power
thing.
Rangers
Yeah.
with that, yeah.
But then they combined. He's figuring things out as he's being a Kamen
Yeah,
Rider.
and it's not like Power Rangers where you immediately know everything that your suit can do. He's got to learn it, and it's interesting. A lot of the comedy mileage in the show is a lot of the kind of slapstick stuff that in Power Rangers you get usually with other characters that aren't the Rangers come from him not knowing what he's doing and bumbling and falling over himself
and trying
stuff.
to use his Kamen Rider abilities for like
Personal
his
gain.
other jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and like, isn't there a whole thing where like he quits his job and
He quits both. Well, he either quits or gets fired from both of them. We don't know which.
is that his sister who
Yes,
gets angry with him?
yeah. He lives with a sister who raised him after their parents died.
Yeah, and
Who tells him that-
he's really irresponsible and then you know she hates that he's quitting his jobs, but then he's got to figure out how to balance this superhero thing now.
Well, and then he becomes. Well, he's not even really a superhero.
It's not even
yet.
a superhero yet. No, that's true. That's true because he's pretty much just using it for
His friends.
Which
is Team Gaim.
the dance off thing.
Their team is called Team Gaim. That's why he's Kamen Rider Gaim. Their team is Gaim. And he's helping them with the suit to fight the monsters because somehow it's legal in this game to fight monsters yourself.
Yeah, you can jump in there.
Yeah, and
as long as you have one of these fruit
and he
suits.
gets all this money, and he comes home and he's like, look, I've got this month's rent, next month's rent, and she's like, I don't want. This you didn't really earn this. It's not work unless you're doing it to help other people. Is that what it is? I've never fully or understood her speech.
I never fully understood where she was coming from either. Yeah.
And then
I just saw this the other day, but I wasn't sure about it.
And then there's a rival team called Team Baron. I mean, there's a number of rival teams, but the main one for these 3 episodes is Team Baron.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't know if we even mentioned that. I watched the first 3.
Yeah.
Did we say that?
Yeah.
Like I said, I will probably watch the rest of it.
And so the leader of Team Baron is like an absolutist. Like he's like a complete like the strong will survive and the weak will die kind of a thing. And like there's no point to living if you're not trying to be as strong as you can. There's a fun scene where
he's basically Bane if Bane was a banana guy.
Yeah. So there's a fun scene where Gaim and Baron are both there.
Never thought you'd hear that sentence, but
and there's a kid up in a tree, and Gaim's like trying to like talk him down, like help him, and Baron's just like jump, just do it yourself.
Oh yeah,
and he jumps down. And Baron goes and gets a belt and a banana lock seed, and he turns into a banana guy. And his staff is like a peeled banana. And then they fight.
Because when you think of scary evil fascist guy, you think bananas.
Yeah.
And his sword is amazing.
His sword
It's
is
a peeled banana.
Yeah.
And he's got these like banana horns, and like this stuff sounds ridiculous because it is. They own it, man. Everybody
awesome.
owns it.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it's so much fun to look at. It's
Yep.
hysterical, but everybody takes it so seriously.
Yep.
And it's better than any Power Rangers, man. Like it's so good.
I have watched the entire series, and I think it's gripping and moving and wonderful, and probably the best.
Well, and that's
Kamen
just so
Rider series I've
impressive
watched.
because it's about fruit guys.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about the pineapple fruit.
No.
The pineapple suit. That's my favorite. The
so-
pineapple suit is amazing, and I love pineapple anyway. And they just nailed it.
So-
they nailed the suit. It's
So,
the best.
so Scott was like, "Is there a pineapple guy?" I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And then we get it. So
Second episode. we get the
So
pineapple.
Gaim isn't the belt takes these lock seeds, which are each different fruit themes, and you can switch them out.
Well, that's
so,
true. It is the orange guy who is the pineapple.
Yeah. So Gaim takes out the orange lock seed and puts on a pineapple lock seed,
Which he
and a
should be
big
using
pineapple falls in his head.
Forevermore. Now I don't know what exactly the difference is between them. We have this problem with Power Rangers a lot too, where it's like, why did you need to combine with this other Zord?
Well, it's different
How is it more
weapons.
helpful to have 2 Zords than 1 right now? And is that what it is?
Yeah. So like the first one is just he has a sword, but the other one is like a pineapple on a chain.
Yeah, you can whip it around,
so it's
yeah.
more ranged, and he'll also get one. I think very quickly, which is
Imagine
strawberry.
if Ghost Rider was a pineapple guy.
Yeah. But he also very quickly will get one that's strawberry, and it's all just like small throwing knives. So like its various ranges, I guess, is really, and there's a really good keeping track of upgrades and power ups and parallel upgrades and power ups. Like he will get an upgrade, and the bad guys will also get an upgrade. Not the same upgrade, but you're like, okay, so these are about the same power level. So when this person fights this person, like they're pretty good at keeping track of that. Not I mean, it's never going to be perfect. Like, they're pretty good at keep track of that.
I've only seen 3 episodes of this, but already, like, the sophistication of storytelling is leaps and bounds above what you would expect for a thing like this. If you
samurai breakdancing,
if you haven't
padlock
watched,
show.
for anything that's like that.
You know all those shows.
But I mean, I haven't watched any other Kamen writer, and I've been told that some of that show is like that, and that it's obviously not the kind of storytelling you get with Power Rangers. But if Power Rangers is your standard, it's way, way, way above that. I can see how that show might get a little bit more heartfelt and like have some real story sophistication. But
I think the ending is profound. Like, the ending moves
you said that
me.
that's crazy, but like I can already see why you're saying that. Like I can see it, eventually going into those places.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the absurdity of those costumes, I just love the juxtaposition.
It never stops.
Putting those together.
Because one, we keep doing different fruits, but also some of their weapons are crazy, and they just don't deal with it. They're just they just don't mention that they have a gun that's also a turntable.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, it's really fun.
But it immediately made me want to go eat fruit, and then they hang out in this fruit bar.
Yeah.
That also really makes me want to eat a lot of fruit.
Yep.
We got done with that. I told Eric, I was like, I'm gonna go get like
and there's like fruit smoothie drinks and
girliest alcoholic beverage when I finish with that. I didn't do that. I still gotta go do that.
Yeah.
But that was amazing. And then finally, there's not another good place to put this. This is not television, but it's a video that we watched. Briefly, I wanted, or Eric wanted to, and I went ahead and listened to some of it. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Power Rangers role-playing game that's going on right now called Hyperforce. And this might sound like a weird thing to talk about. We're going to talk about people playing in a role-playing game. We have to set this up a little bit so that people know what in the world it is and what we're talking about. This is a role-playing game invented by Andre Meadows, who's the black nerd on YouTube, and he's this massive Power Rangers fan, and he's also into a lot of things I love, Powerpuff Girls and Ninja Turtles, and he's got such a massive following that he's managed to get involved with the companies that make some of this stuff, and he invented this game, and has been allowed by Saban to put this to put this thing together and get other YouTube celebrities and people that have been on Power Rangers before.
And there's some voice actors. I think one of them's a voice actress and things like that.
And they're making this thing that is canonical with the comics.
Mm-hmm. It's Saban sanctioned. This isn't like some people like doing a thing. Like, this is Saban sanctioned.
Yeah.
And I watched the first episode when it first dropped a few months ago. They come out weekly. We're up to, I think 22 just came out. I think 19 and 20 are the Shattered Grid, and then I think we're up to 22.
What is it, like a 23, 24 episode season?
I think there's 1 or 2 more. Yeah.
But and like they are somewhat. Are they funded by Saban, or is it just they're not allowed to make any more unless Saban says they can, or? But you said they had to wait to see if they would get renewed. They're a
Twitch show, and apparently their views might not be good enough to get renewed to keep streaming. Well, I'm not sure.
That's unfortunate.
Hopefully the Shattered Grid thing gives them a boost, and having Jason DeFrank on there. So there are 2 episodes that are the Shattered Grid crossover. I listened to both of them, which is about 6 hours of content. Cap listened to the second one with Jason DeFrank. The first one has Kyle Higgins, who's great.
Higgins, who writes the comic book.
Yeah. Kyle Higgins writes the comic book. He's a lot of fun. The big thing about that episode, because the episode is mostly set up for the Jason Frank one. It's mostly the characters learning about the world, about the Drake and Run world. But what's great is that Kyle Higgins plays this military Black Ranger guy called Hicks, and then the last 30 minutes, he turns out Hicks is Pumpkin Rapper in disguise, and he has all these pre-written pumpkin raps, and it's amazing. And then
I gotta go back and listen to that. That's really funny.
And then Andre Meadows starts freestyle rapping back to Pumpkin Rapper.
That's hilarious.
It's great. It's a lot of fun. And then the second one, they have just Dave Frank. And we both
and he's playing Draken.
Before I started listening to it, like you were like, that's not gonna be great, right? And I'm like, probably not. Like, he's
I
always
couldn't see him in a role-playing game like that.
and he's always seemed kind of full of himself. Like, I thought he was going to go I thought he would either be too jokey, or he would go the wrong way where he's playing against the players. Like, he doesn't get what that game is. And then after like 5 minutes, like, I started messaging you. I was like, no, he's killing it. He's treating this like an audition for the role.
Yeah.
He's really funny, and he never breaks character.
No matter what he says, he always talks like Draken, and he goes with the game like he understands it. He doesn't just stay in character the way he's talking. Like, he does whatever Draken would do, and I always buy it.
And it seems like he has a real grasp of what the Draken in the comics is. Like, it seems like he went through and read all of those and gets that character.
Well, I get the sense that he and Kyle Higgins have spent some time together.
Yeah.
And have probably talked about it, because, I mean, you know, Higgins directed that.
Yeah.
That teaser they made. And you look at the behind the scenes, it looks like they've hung out some.
Is
the sense I got. But yeah, so I gotta give you my favorite thing in the whole thing, because this is my big selling point. Like, I should say this, and everyone should go listen to it. And let me also say, 3 hours moved pretty fast.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, I didn't sit there and watch it. I like listened to it almost like a radio drama, and I think, I mean, occasionally I would have to glance at it to kind of see. It was helpful to know what people were doing sometimes.
Yeah.
But just to visualize this for you. It's just,
and Paul Schreier is one of the Rangers. The original Bulk is one of the Rangers,
and he's also great.
Yeah, and the current Blue Ranger, who's the magician, is the Red Ranger for this team,
and he's also pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, I like everybody.
Yeah, I do too. It's a great cast.
There's not really any weak links. I think they're all pretty great. But there is. But it's pencil and paper RPG. It's these guys all sitting in a room together. One of the things that helps the pacing is they have some music through a lot of it, and sometimes they even do sound effects, which I really appreciate. There's one part where they're trying to get out of a building or a ship or something, and there's like an alarm klaxon in the background, and so I mean they've thought a lot of this through. It's really cool. But the best way I can describe it is it. I mean, it is a role playing game. You have to wait and listen for people to roll dice and stuff, but it listens like a radio play to me, and I was kind of surprised by how well that works. Like the DM moves at a clip.
Yeah, and he's not the regular DM.
They don't sit.
He's a guest DM for those 2 episodes.
Yeah, they don't. So I'm assuming the other guy's just as good, but they don't sit around and hammer things out forever. Like he does a really good job of moving things along, and each of the Ranger characters it feels like an improv game before anything, and it would be pretty easy to write a lot of that stuff down and take out maybe some of the excess dialogue that doesn't need to be there, and what everybody is making up to have their characters do sounds a lot of it like something that could have been scripted in the first place.
Yeah,
and it's great.
I guess we didn't mention. So Hyperforce is a sequel to Time Force, or it's a sidequel to Time Force. That's the premise of this team, is that they basically go to Time Force Academy, like the police academy. So
and that's why they can hit a lot of different Power Ranger shows.
And they've had other guests on. So the first episode has time.
You said they did a Dino Thunder thing, and they had Frank there for that too.
Yeah, Frank is there as Dr. Oliver. The first episode has the Pink Time Ranger. The actual actress comes there and plays the whole first game with them. Oh,
that's really cool.
Yeah, so they're jumping through time, and they're bringing in like some cool guests and stuff. But this is an official crossover with the comics and all of that, which is why I wanted to listen to it for this, since we were going to do all the Boom comics.
Yeah.
It's
and I kind of appreciated the comics a little more listening to this, weirdly.
Jason David Frank helps reading Draken so much.
He really does. Yeah. I have a much better sense of that character and what he's all about.
And just like I could hear him talking, and like it really like we talked about how, like everybody's voice kind of felt like their voice except for Jason. Like, I don't know if I had a voice for Draken before I listened to that, and I was like, okay, that's exactly what he sounds like.
Yeah.
Like he nails it. Like, he really treats this. Jason David Frank treats this like it's an audition for a role, and he kills it.
And like you said, he balances the humor so well.
And a lot of it's funny just because he never breaks. He stays like really stone-faced and like really serious.
So I was going to say this earlier. So my favorite thing. I mean, it opens up 2 minutes in. I'm like, oh, I'm in for a treat. Like, I was sampling it. I didn't know if I was going to listen to the whole thing. And then I ended up listening to a lot more because of this, and then I got really engaged with it. And there are some, like, legitimately really dramatic moments where I'm just like, oh, that just happened. And a lot of it's stuff that I just wouldn't expect, Frank to do. And then I'm like, oh, yes, of course, that is what Draken would do there. Like, he never takes it too far. But
even the bow stuff is, like, really funny and doesn't feel too far.
No, where he tries to make everybody bow. And
yeah.
It's like, no, we don't have time for that. He's like, no, you're going to bow right now. And then he turns into a pun and he's like moved to the bow of the ship, and it's great. But toward the beginning, he goes to a coffee shop, and they're in his dimension, and everybody knows who Draken is, and he kind of rules everything, but he's been taken down a peg by
Scorpina's warring against him, and then also the coinless
too. And if you've read the comics, you know what we're talking about. But the coinless are this like underground sect that goes against Draken, and they're run by Zack, and Bulk's in there. Anyway, and so he goes into this coffee shop and he orders a cup of coffee, and he's ordering his men around, and then the person behind the counter that makes the coffee comes back to him, and he's like put cream and sugar in there, and then she's like hesitating and stuff, and then he's talking to his men again, and then finally he gets the coffee, and he's like, or like she finishes it, and he's like never mind, I can't drink that, I got a helmet on. And I just lost it. I thought that was the funniest thing. And like, I can't stop saying it. That's become like one of my new catchphrases. Like, I just can't. I got a helmet on, and he killed me with that. It's hysterical. And then the thing he does later, I don't want to give too much away because I want people to listen to this. But but the thing he does later, where because it's an uneasy alliance with these Rangers.
Yeah.
And for a good portion of it, he actually because he's not. For a lot of it, he's not like a villain player character. They're not fighting him. He's with them, and then eventually that kind of turns around a little bit, and it's great. But there's a part where I think it's the Red Ranger is pleading for him not to kill someone.
Yeah.
And
I take his morpher.
And he just goes, and you think he's going to go along with it, and he goes, well, I'm just going to take his morpher. And the DM's like, well, you're gonna have to roll for that, and he loses the roll, and he's not able to do it. And then a little later, the Red Ranger is still pleading with him, and he's like, "Can I take his morpher now?" He's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's great.
He's just the best.
Yeah.
I hope so much that he actually gets to play that role in live action somehow, some way, at some point.
Hyperforce is the Power Ranger series I want.
Yeah.
And it's such a great premise to do, like all the. Like, to do a Time Force sequel as a backdoor way to, like, get a bunch of old Rangers back is such a good idea. It's the level of sophistication and fun that I want from a more mature Power Ranger show.
Yeah, and
there's a little bit of swearing, but not too much.
They go to dark places that you wouldn't think would be okay for a kid's show, but it never forgets that it's a kid's thing either.
Yeah, it's always fun.
I'm really surprised that, like, I would let Jason listen to it, and there's, like, dismemberment and stuff.
Yeah.
But... as I always say, it's actions with consequences, and it works. And they have fun with that, and they weave it into the pseudoscience and stuff. And
I'll give my favorite thing, which actually comes from the first episode. My favorite little bit. Is so the Red Ranger calls in his Zord and attacks like one of the monsters or something, and wrecks the whole area. He just wrecks house on this whole area, and it's Paul Schreier's turn, and he's like, I'm gonna make a big arc just around and make sure if there's anybody, which we didn't mention, they're very concerned about civilians and getting civilians and all that, and it's really cool. He's like, I'm gonna make a big arc around and see if there's any civilians, anybody that needs help before the next brutal, vicious onslaught from our Red Ranger. And I thought that was really fun.
There's a point in the episode I listened to where Bulk as a non-player character shows up. Is that
yeah, because he's part of the coinless.
And then they're dealing with Bulk, and the Red Ranger or somebody looks over at Paul Schreier, and he's like, "Why are you looking at me?" They have so much fun with it. I was really impressed.
Paul Schreier also is fantastic and should
like as an actual ranger.
Yeah.
And he plays the most serious character in it.
Yeah, he
Completely
jokes a
no
lot, but
nonsense.
in character, he's all no nonsense.
Yeah, and they go as far as like they have an intro, and their song's not great, but they have
Their
an
song's
intro,
not great.
and it's still too modern day Power Rangers. There's not any bite to it, but
No.
but their costumes look cool, and they have a morphing sequence.
They have a
that
morphing
they actually
sequence.
shoot.
And they have
And anytime somebody calls a Zord or morphs, they go to stock footage.
when the Pink Ranger morphs and unmorphs and morphs and unmorphs.
They
and
just
then
keep
morphs
using
and unmorphs.
that was hilarious. Maybe not when they call the Zords. I guess it's just when they morph.
No, they have the little picture that shows up when they call these Zords.
That's right.
A little
Okay.
picture of the Zords. If you're interested in this at all, I would recommend at least trying the J. Stave Frank episode. It's really good.
And then maybe go back. I'll probably try to go back and listen to a lot of it.
Yeah, I might as well. And they have completely costume designs. Like all of this is designed, even if it's not physical.
And the Zords are all designed, and
They're going to be in Shattered Grid. The
Yeah.
Hyperforce Rangers will appear in the Shattered Grid crossover, and that's pretty
and
cool.
all of 5% of us reading that will know what in the world that
Andre
is.
Meadows is going to cry
Oh yeah.
when he gets to see himself as a Power Ranger drawn in the
Yeah,
comic book.
yes, he will. That'll be a big deal.
But it's really fun. I listened to the first episode when it came out. And was like, yeah,
I expect to
pretty
listen
good.
to half an hour and be like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I was hooked on it.
No, you came to me and you're like, so I completely changed how I feel about role playing games. If it's
I
like
want to
that,
play
I
one
want to
now.
play.
Yeah, if it's like that, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking of stuff I would want to do for one if I ran my own. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we have ideas. Anyway, well, I think that's going to be it for Primetime Crisis.
that is it
Unless
for
you have
Primetime
anything else
Crisis.
you want to bring
I
up.
don't think so.
That last one wasn't a TV show, but where else were we going to play?
Yeah.
So,
I think Primetime's radio, like right, like Primetime starts in the radio dramas, right?
yeah, sure. I don't know if they were calling it that yet.
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, well, we're going to go ahead and move on the Omnibus. If you're watching this as its own video, we sure appreciate you doing that, and we will see you again in a couple weeks. I don't know what exactly we're going to talk about TV-wise next time, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think there's anything major that we're looking at right at this moment that's going to end up being on that show.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But anyway, thanks again, folks, and we're going to move right on with the Omnibus in just a second. It's time right now, once again, for He Made Me Watch, and this time Eric made me watch something, because we sort of also did some He Made Me Watch with Primetime Crisis with the Power Ranger stuff, so I did mine over there, so we're back to Eric. And Eric made me watch something that is, once again, like some stuff we did with Primetime Crisis, not actually Power Rangers related, but it's got some things in common with Power Rangers.
It's
another...
tangentially related. It's Kamen Rider, and it's Tokusatsu, and it's based on a manga that was essentially like, I guess the first like second generation Tokusatsu fan, where it was like, well, I want to do something like that.
Oh, okay.
Where like it was somebody that grew up with Super Sentai and Kamen Rider and Ultraman and was like, I want to do something like that. But so we watched the Guyver Dark Hero, which the box and the menu call Guyver 2, but the movie itself I've always heard referred to as Guyver Dark Hero, and then we got to the credits and it says Guyver Dark Hero.
You said apart from that, you've never seen it with the 2.
I've never seen it with a 2.
I don't know why they thought it would market better that way.
I don't know. It is a sequel to a film from, I believe, 91. Not starring Mark Hamill, despite what the box may make you think. But
He's in it.
You can watch this without seeing the first one, and you should, because the first one's really bad. This came out in 94.
And it doesn't watch it all like a sequel.
No. No.
I mean, like, it's not an origin story, like, the guy's already got the suit, but...
And he already knows about the evil aliens, but you can watch it completely on its own, and you should. And it's finally...
That's what I did.
Back in print on DVD. I've waited for years for this to be back in print on DVD. It's finally back in print on DVD. I was really excited to get it. I haven't seen it since I was a teenager.
Did it hold up? Did you like it as well?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's better than I remember it. I remember a lot of just, like, walking around the cave, but, like, there's a lot more happening.
There is also a lot of walking around in a cave, but there is more happening than that.
Yeah. It stars David Hayter, who probably most well known for being the voice for Solid Snake in the Metal Gear games. He does some other voice acting,
because
but
he wrote X-Men And
X-Men
Watchmen
2.
and X-Men 2. Isn't that wild? Isn't
Yep.
that crazy? You maybe have heard me mention his name on Rewind. I just watched him as a superhero in, like, really ultra-violent Power Rangers. It's crazy.
This comes out in 94, which is about 3 years after the first one, and is right in the middle of the big Power Rangers craze. And I will never understand why this isn't a bigger thing.
Yeah.
This feels like the thing that all of the older kids and, like, cool, like, uncles or whatever would have watched, be like, oh, you like Power Rangers? Let me show you Guyver. Like, I feel like this should have been a really
You're not
big
even going to
thing.
be able to get through it.
Yeah, and it wasn't a really big thing. Like, you've never heard of this, have you before?
I didn't know what it was. I had heard of it, but that's only because I pour through lists of superhero movies. So,
This is entirely American made.
I have gotten requests for it before.
Okay, this is entirely American made and produced. So it counts. There will be superhero rewinds on Guyver and Guyver
That's
Dark Hero.
absolutely right. Yeah.
The basic premise is that there's a guy. I think his name's Sean.
Yeah, that's his name.
I think it's Sho in the manga and the anime, but his name is. I think his name's Sean.
They got make him an American guy.
Yeah. He's played, and that was all done in the first movie. That wasn't their choice. Oh, also, this is directed by Steve Wang, who directed an episode of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which is like Alien, and he also directed, or he was also like the showrunner for Kamen Rider Dragon Knight from a few years ago that still needs to be put on DVD, but hasn't been.
That's really cool.
But and I think, and he did a like 10-minute pilot for a show that he wanted to do that he was going to make in either China or Korea that was a tokusatsu hero built all around like apps. Like it was the cell phone thing, like a lot of Power Rangers do, but it was like, I want to do a super move. I'm going to punch in, like, I'm going to pull up this app, and I'm going to do, like, a super kick.
There's an app for that.
But this is it's kind of like R-rated Power Rangers. It's, a guy gets a super alien suit from some aliens, and
But
he
it's,
fights
I don't know,
evil
it's
aliens.
sort of an anti-hero Power Rangers because he does kill people, and there's a question of like how much control he actually has over his suit, and so it's not the like altruistic alien gives him powers. It's kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah. And I forget.
Although I guess he kind of gets his powers accidentally, right? Like,
yeah, I
he's
forget
not
if he
chosen
finds it.
or
No,
anything.
he just I can't remember exactly what it is in the first movie or in the original series, but
And there's a big reveal about what the suit is at the end.
which I found out does come from the manga.
Oh, interesting.
That the origin of the Guyver is actually taken from the source material.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And he's in the first movie he beats like all the monsters, and this movie he's just going around killing mobsters, like really violently, like killing just like the villains from like RoboCop or The Crow, which is kind of what you thought you were in for. It's like, oh, this is gonna be like RoboCop or The Crow.
The first 10 minutes, it really feels like that kind of thing, and he gets away from it. I don't think it's like horribly tonally uneven or anything, although I do wish more of the movie was lit and shot like the beginning.
Yeah, with all the
Because
shadows
there's some
and darkness.
really
and,
cool, artistic, almost noirish stuff going on toward the beginning that you don't get through a lot of the rest of it. I mean, like, there's some really nice light work and stuff when you get into the ship and all of that.
Yeah.
And all the fights are shot pretty well.
And
but
but
it doesn't have, I don't know, it doesn't have the same sense of style as it does at the beginning.
no.
I wish we'd hung on to that.
But part of that's just because we go to the woods, and how stylistic can you make the woods?
Well, then maybe just don't go to the woods. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you,
I'm
man.
sure some of that was budgetary. This is a $1 million budgeted movie,
Yeah.
which is insane.
It's all on the screen.
It is. There are so many monster costumes that all look really good. The
And I can't
choreography is
believe
really good.
how big of a set they built
Yeah.
for that spaceship.
Yeah. The big thing for this movie, like the big selling point for this movie, is really cool costumes, really good choreography, and really good sets. Or at least a really good set, a really vast set.
Yeah.
It's not a great story or character piece.
Story and acting, not so much, although I think Hader does a pretty good job.
Hader does do a pretty good job. The bad guy, not so much. Until he's in costume, then he's the best.
Then he's great. And every time he gets out of costume, I'm like, oh, he's out of costume again. Now we gotta watch this guy act.
It is very much a low-budget B-movie, and then when it goes to the fight scenes, it feels like it could be a larger budget thing.
It really does.
It kind of transcends above its budget, and it's like, oh, these people like really know how to do this, and they're really good at it.
There are a lot of places where it looks, and I don't mean the whole movie, but there are places where it looks every bit as good as something like The Rocketeer. I don't mean it's that kind of movie.
Yeah. No. The big thing I said while we were watching is I was like, this is what you think every B movie is going to be when you start it.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, well, they had like $15 and they could do one monster suit and that's all it is. This is what you want to be.
It wasn't too ambitious for somehow, because you would have thought that it would be.
Yeah.
What you're actually seeing, like how do they pull that off? But like for the resources that they have, and there's some minimalism. There's some corners that they maybe have to cut in like transformations and things. They just don't want that stuff to look horribly cheesy. And
there's even some CGI that looks really good, especially for $1 million in '94.
There's some cheese factor just in that it's guys in suits and it knows it.
Yeah.
But it's not a corny movie.
No. I mean, like, we're kind of giggling and making fun of the movie a little bit here and there in the way that you would with kind of a B movie, but
yeah,
it's self-serious, but not too much. Everyone in the movie is taking it seriously. The movie might be taking itself a little bit less seriously than they are.
Yeah, the movie's ridiculous, but the characters don't know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I really enjoyed it. I was bored in the middle a little bit.
Yeah. That's fair.
In all the cave stuff that you're talking about.
And then we get like a bunch of monster fights in a row for like the third the third act. They're just like, we've been saving all the money for this.
Yeah, and they
not that there's no fights in between.
They reward you for your patience. It's not the kind of thing where they only have so much money where they can do like 2 fights. One's at the beginning and one's at the end, and they just have to pretend like it's a movie. So they have all this stuff in between.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that happen that get you there. I think some of it maybe could have been truncated a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like 2 hours? It's a little over 2 hours, I think. 124 minutes. So it's just about 2 hours. It probably could have been an hour and a half.
Hour 45, hour and a half, yeah.
I'm
glad I saw it. I'm kind of interested to write about it. I think it'll make for kind of a fun rewind.
I'm excited for you to do the first one.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that there's like a ton to analyze there, but there's not nothing. It's not like it's not about anything.
Yeah. I mean, it has a big kind of Lovecraftian twist at the end where it's like,
we could have done
more kind of a mistake and all the stuff with the Guyver and whatnot.
Like that's fun. We could have done more with the identity stuff. It's not a super character-driven film. The ideas are interesting.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I really like is that he gets this vision of like the history of mankind, and we were like, what exactly are we supposed to get from that? And like 10 minutes later, he tells us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I feel like a lot of these like minimalistic films will like kind of shoot something like that, and they're like, you got it, and you're like, no, what am I looking at? They explain it.
Or it's either self-indulgent or it's supposed to be ambiguous and they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Or they think it is enough and it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really fun, violent movie. And it gets very violent. The monster suits bleed.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. Like, they get stabbed, there's just blood running down monster suits.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous and it's more than it needs to be, but it's, I don't know, it's the right kind of gratuitous. Where it's just, it's that kind of movie, it's having fun with all that stuff.
Yeah, and none of it's like gross or too over the top in the wrong ways or anything like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I will say I'm feeling it. I like that movie. I didn't love that movie, but it was.
I mean, I didn't love it either. But
a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, sure.
But yeah.
So thanks for showing it to me.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
I'm not looking forward to seeing the first one. The way you've been talking about it. But
unfortunately, it's kind of a Guyver as a whole is kind of like a weird, like, hidden gem for America.
It's weird that nobody talks about it.
And the original anime was one of the.
I spent 20 minutes with that, and I was like, why don't I hear about this movie?
Yeah. The original anime is, I think, 12 episodes, and it was one of those things where like, a lot of people kind of came in with that. It was one of those, but then it's been completely forgotten since then. There was a new anime in the mid-2000s I've meant to watch but haven't gotten around to, but it's not huge in America. It's really unfortunate.
I did feel like, I wanted to mention this earlier, I forgot about it. I did feel like X-Files.
Yes, X-Files is very clearly on television when they are making this movie.
Yeah.
And Big 94 is right when they're hitting their stride.
And I don't know, I feel like the grit, I mean, like I don't know, some of this maybe could have been cleaned up some, but I think the graininess of the footage and stuff actually helps it.
No, I agree. It makes
it feels intentionally low budget.
Yeah. And it's not. It's just low budget, but
sure.
But it knows that it's running with it, and it helps.
It's got that Ninja Turtles thing.
Yeah.
Where
it knew it was a low budget movie when they started.
If you threw too much money at this, you actually would be disingenuous to the practical effects. and even some of the visual effects. I mean, some of those costumes they put in the daylight, and it's impressive that it looks as good as it is.
Well, you thought
but some of that works still because of the kind of minimalist way some of it is shot, and just like outside of the broad daylight stuff, you know the way that it's lit and shadow work and stuff. You have to be careful to shoot like that stuff right.
Well, and you thought that we put the Guyver suit in the beginning in the dark to kind of hide it, and then we get like just broad daylight.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, it looks great. It's just a really fun movie. More people should watch it, and you can now. It is easily available. It's like
and more people
$15.
should cosplay as that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see that.
And someone should go as the Guyver, and somebody should go as like the Gillman Guyver with the like things on the side.
Yeah, or the like elephant face guy.
Yeah, or the one with the like the prawny guy.
Oh, the prawny guy. That's
the dad.
No, what I'm forgetting is
he makes. Oh, we have to talk about sound effects. We have to talk about the sound effects.
So there's a Guyver, not a Guyver. There's a
Zonoid.
Thank you. The Zonoid, one of the monsters that does not look like a cat, but makes a cat sound.
Yeah, for some reason, like they keep looping this one. It's only one. They only have one track of this.
It just goes,
yeah, it's like a cat like fighting another cat. It's like she's like, "Rawr!" And they just loop it. And then there's a guy with squid face, and he's elephant sound.
Yeah.
And like all of them have like these weird animal sounds.
That's why
like, we're not going to reverb it. We're not going to.
Oh no, I said elephant because it sounds like an elephant. And I said this to Eric while we were watching it. I was imagining whoever made that choice going, they'll never know it was a cat sound.
Yeah. No, we know this.
No, it's pretty clearly a cat sound. It's hilarious, but that is a massive part of the charm of that.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's pretty great. Well, that's it for He Made Me Watch today, folks. Thanks a bunch, and I will make Eric watch something next time, and we are going to continue on with the Omnibus right now, Eric, right this very minute with you made us watch, because Eric watched something with me, and why don't we start with the thing that you watched with me, Eric. So, movie that both of us have meant to watch for a million years. Really nice of...
Well, like 3.
It feels like a million years.
Comes out the same year.
It really does. Right, but then I hear people like Rasco talk about it so much, and it just feels like a million years ago.
That's true.
But yeah, so 2014, Whiplash. It was a long time before I even realized that movie was about a guy playing the drums, and I was like, oh, that seems like a thing I should rather watch.
I always confused it with there's a movie that came out a couple years earlier called Whip It, which is a roller derby movie.
Totally
and people kept telling me how amazing Whiplash was. I was like, really? The Ellen Page roller derby movie?
Why would
that
I
got
watch
nominated
that?
for an Oscar? No, it's not that movie.
It's too bad that Ellen Page isn't in this movie, because she could use that kind of thing for her career.
Well, she was busy doing Flatline.
Right. That's what I thought you were going to say. So thanks to Guidi for requesting this for us, because honestly we were remiss in not getting around to this, and we finally have. So Whiplash is a horse of a different color. This is kind of movie that you just don't see a lot of, and I like totally deserving of all of its accolades.
Absolutely,
and,
it's a brilliant
all of the wonderful things people have said about it. I don't think you could tout this up too much.
I don't think so either.
I don't think you can overestimate the greatness of this movie.
And there's a number of points where I think I know where it's going, and it doesn't go there.
Yeah, same here.
Early on, I was like, okay, so this is going to be like
mostly in redemptive arcs that never happen.
Yeah. Early on, I thought this was going to be like a Dead Poet Society. Like, that's kind of the vibe I was like, oh, this is going to be like a Dead Poet Society thing. And it wasn't. And then I was like, okay, well, it's going to be like Search for Bobby Fischer, where like he's going to have to learn to balance like his art with his life. And it doesn't. This is a film that the philosophy
I thought it might be another Rocky kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, where there's like maybe dueling drummers or something, and he finds that there's always somebody better than you are, and he doesn't go there either.
No, the philosophy of this film seems to be everything is worth sacrificing for legitimate artistic greatness.
Yeah, but I was going to get to this later, but what's really interesting about it is I don't think it's ultimately important. I don't know if I'm right about this. I don't know if it's ultimately important what the film is saying so much as allowing these characters' philosophies to shine through.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I agree.
It's just telling a story.
Now, having done a cursory bit of research about this film and the director, this director must believe everything that he wrote.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So this movie they shot in 19 days. In the final week, the director is in a car crash and is told that, like, he shouldn't return to set for, like, a week or two. Like, he should recover.
And
he shows up to set on the next day!
He does exactly what the kid in this does.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yep. And he finishes the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So, no, clearly, the director, who is also the writer...
So he believes in determination against anything,
Yep.
and it makes you wonder what kind of director he is.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how he treats his actors on set and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the basic idea behind the mentor in this film, one of the best performances I've ever seen in anything.
I've seen J.K. Simmons in a lot of stuff.
Simmons.
I like J.K. Simmons in a lot of stuff. I've never seen him do anything like this. It's amazing. He's just so good.
And,
like, you can't overstate how good he is in this movie.
No, and impressive that we're able to keep both of these characters as sympathetic as we do, even if you may not condone everything they do. And I think this is one of those movies where some people are going to agree with these ideas more than others. You know what I mean? Like there's...
You do not have to agree with this film to enjoy this.
No, but there are wonderful debates to be had about it.
Yeah.
And just how far he goes in his philosophy of negative reinforcement. And it was weirdly... Because, I mean, like, I wouldn't act like this guy, but I get where he's coming from, and there's at least a grain of truth to everything he's saying.
There is an argument that I don't think gets made to him that I really wanted to.
What's that?
Because he kept bringing up the story about, like, he threw a symbol at that guy, and a year later he came back as the greatest person of all time. And I really wanted somebody to be like, yeah, he did that once! He didn't keep throwing things at him!
That's a sort of like a point. But yeah, he has this philosophy that positive reinforcement is bad because you stagnate potential greatness by saying you're good enough.
The two worst words in the English language are good job.
Good job, yeah. You can't. This movie is the opposite of Hitchcock. Hancock. I always do that.
Yeah.
Of Hancock, remember that?
Yeah.
Where he's told to say good job. This is all about the idea that you are great, that you can only achieve greatness if you fight against all odds, but also don't ever let, like, anything get in your way at all whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. It's also got the same kind of
if you have the potential to be great, you will never be discouraged.
It's got the same kind of, like, rage against mediocrity that Incredibles has, but where Incredibles
I was gonna bring that up.
Views it as like a problem. Where like this is a thing in society that has really taken over and gone too far.
And it's really critical of public education.
Yeah. J.K. Simmons, like, fundamentally believes you should never encourage people because they,
on a personal level, individually.
Yeah, you should only let them, because you're, once someone thinks they've done well, they don't try as hard because they've done well. You have to always, like, you have to keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. Sometimes too far. Well, he doesn't believe that there's too far, but
yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, one of the big things that's amazing about this movie to me, and, like, I need some time to process this, but one of the things that's amazing about this movie to me is you get to the end, and this is an antagonistic relationship between two people that completely get and agree with each other, but are challenging each other so much that they don't fully realize it until the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think Simmons' character is past the point of paranoia.
Yeah. Well, and it's so weird because when you get a moment where you kind of see him where he's not the kind of raving guy, you get, like, a real human moment from him, and even at his most,
he still has that in him. He's forcing it all the time.
And even at his
he's
most
to his
sober,
so hard with this philosophy.
He still believes it entirely.
Yeah.
He's one. He's asked, "Is there a line?" And he says, "No."
And then I guess you're right with the idea that the movie kind of agrees with him, at least to some degree, because they're both vindicated by the end.
Yeah. This movie could have been called Bleed for It. This is literally a movie where someone has to bleed for their art.
But it's not like there aren't consequences. It's not like the whole world coalesces to these people. Like,
It's not.
I don't get to the end, and I'm like,
ending.
I want to go out and be just like this guy. I'm applauding him in a way at the end, and I also feel sorry for him in a way. You know, like he gets everything he ever wanted, but then he's given up so much I never would.
Yeah. No, I agree. No. There are numerous points in this where I'm like, I could never do this. Like, I'm not that driven.
But then it's also inspiring at the same time.
Yeah.
I can't watch a movie like this and not want to immediately work harder.
Yep.
And be better and like it's. I had a hard time watching this and not think about times where I was unsure of myself and thinking like, you know, buck up, Pilgrim. And
if only someone had screamed at you and told you how useless you were.
but I kept thinking about that afterwards, where I was like, yeah, it's a little bit of that, like, you know, my life can't be so bad kind of thing. But like everything that happens to this kid, he brings on himself.
Yeah. And one of the things I loved was that
it's all self-imposed, which is a thing that I to some degree can relate to.
Yeah. One of the things I loved is that there's a couple of contrivances that get this film running. And then J.K. Simmons calls him completely. He's like, you didn't earn any of this.
Yeah.
You got this because of this, and you got this because of this, and that's why you're here right now. And I was like, that's amazing.
And I kind of thought all along that's what was going on.
Did you?
Yeah. They because I thought it was too easy, and I thought this movie was probably too good for that.
But I didn't know if it would be that easy just to get the ball rolling, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I think what helps, and I've only seen this the one time, but I think part of the reason I thought that was because the movie pretty much opens with an audition he doesn't know is an audition.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's what it was from the beginning.
Okay.
That he walks in and he listens to this kid because he keeps doing things that struck me as testing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
which was then at the end he basically says, yeah, all of this was testing.
And that also became really clear when he was being, you know, too nice to kids that didn't seem to really deserve to be there. And I liked that the other two drummers were kind of like different sorts of opposites.
And I also love that neither of them were villainized.
The worldviews. No, they weren't.
It didn't go the normal movie route of like, this guy's a jerk and I deserve his place. They're not villainized,
but they didn't want it in the same way.
Yeah. They didn't want enough.
And one of them was kind of too much of a suck up and too much of a people pleaser.
Mm.
And the other one, I think, was trying too hard to be like Simmons.
Mm. Yeah.
And this kid doesn't want to impress this teacher. He wants to be the best you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that this this teacher knows what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. And he specifically went to this school because it's the best music school in the entire country and all of that. And he wants to be in this guy's class because this guy... What's interesting is we're told that he like breeds excellence, right? Like everyone that goes through that class like is amazing.
Yeah.
But then he later tells us...
And they never lose.
Yeah, but then he later tells us that he never had like a great success story.
See, but I love that because to anybody else looking in, he would. He did,
but he didn't have anyone that is the greatest of all time.
He didn't have a Charlie Parker.
Mm.
And then there's kind of that question of, but in this day and age, would that person ever be appreciated like Charlie Parker was?
Yeah, well, especially doing jazz music.
And we talk about that.
Yeah,
he's like, this is why it's dying, and I love that this kid never thinks about that. He doesn't care.
Mm.
He wants to be great at this thing. And it doesn't matter if there's even an avenue for it.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about the music? Because I don't have much to say because I'm not a music person. But
yeah. So I forget the name of this kid, the Fantastic Four kid.
I could.
It's just not coming to me right now.
Yeah.
But I would,
Miles Teller.
Thank you. But I would love to know like how much of a drummer he was before he got this role. That looks hard.
It looks really... And I kept looking for shots where I'm like, well, a real drummer stepped in. and there's not many where I could be like, it's someone else's arm or like something like that. Like
too often, it's back off shots, and you see him really doing it. And he must have killed himself making this movie.
I mean, he looks in pain every time he touches the drums.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not driven enough to do what he looks in so much pain. His fingers are bleeding as he's playing. I'm like, I would have stopped. I wouldn't keep doing this.
Yeah. No. Obviously, the people making this movie, understand the kind of music he's playing. They understand not just the music and various types of jazz, and they talk about what jazz used to be versus the kind of watered down coffee shop stuff that people are listening to now, and they talk about the idea that there aren't greats in jazz anymore because it's just kind of elevator music now. And but I was almost more impressed because you expect the music in a thing like this to be good. I was kind of more impressed with all the details about practicing, about what being in a choir room and in a band room is like. And I've done some of that myself. I was in choirs for years and years and years, and there's just a bunch of the little details of specifically things that conductors go crazy about, just lose their minds over, or the things that I remember seeing conductors lose their minds over, and things like people forgetting their folders or leaving their folders somewhere, and stuff like that, and then obviously just all the jargon and the in the technical stuff is all up to spec, and they're not just making stuff up. They know what they're talking about.
So I do have a question that you might not know because we both only watched it once.
Yeah, sure.
Is he writing music that's nigh superhuman? Like when we see the 3 different drummers just keep rotating, trying to play the same piece, and none of them are nailing it. Is it near impossible to play this music?
No, I think the deal is I don't think the music is like the most complicated thing in the universe. It's hard, but it's more about tempo and trying to get them to play it as fast as possible, and it's more him just constantly testing that kid. And that, of course, is the biggest thing that you'll see in a choir room or a band room like that is people not being able to match precisely the conductor's tempo. He needs to be in complete control so that everyone is together. And obviously, it's most important that the drums are in tempo because that's the foundation. That's the base for the piece, and so everything else is following the drums. And so you got to get that percussion right. And I did kind of wonder why he was so fixated on a drummer as opposed to any other instrument.
I had that question, but then the other student we hear about is like a trumpet player, and so I assumed that this was the one he was working with right now. I assumed that he
was the potential prodigy that he found.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
feel like if he played a different instrument, he would have been focused on him in that other instrument.
In a weird way, I expected both a more happy ending and a less happy ending, if that makes any sense at all. I figured maybe it would end with his realizing that he's not going to be able to get what he wants, or that he actually, like you said, learns that balance, or learns to appreciate the other things in life, that life's too short, or I thought maybe he would patch things up with the girl, especially when he calls her again. And when she said, I thought it was gonna get kind of romantic, when he calls her back and invites her to the concert and she says she has a boyfriend, I expected her to be joking again, she was at the beginning. That's Melissa Benoist, that's Supergirl. She's good. She doesn't get a lot to do.
No.
But I was kind of sad for her, but at the same time, I'm the more I thought about it, I think I'm with you. I don't think they were anything right for each other.
No.
But then there's not gonna be someone like that for him, because the only person he's he's going to be happy with is going to be so driven also that she's not going to have time for him either.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I guess you can kind of maybe make that work. I don't know. Not exactly, but I'm sure he could find someone that, like, even if they only spend, like, a couple of days a year together, they're like, there is someone.
Sure.
And it's probably not music. It's probably like an astrophysicist or something.
Some other thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when you get to the end, he gets everything he ever wanted.
But at what twisty cost?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was mortified. This is, and especially...
I was inspired and mortified at the same time.
With the subject matter, because, like obviously, anything that you want to be this great at is going to be intense no matter what it is. And, looking, eyes in somebody that doesn't really appreciate music, they might, wonder, how in the world you could put that much time and effort to entertainment. You'll hear people think like that. But then,
and they talk about that a little bit at the dinner table.
Exactly, with his family.
Amazing.
I thought that was really important. Yeah. So you'll have people who won't appreciate it just because it's music or whatever, but also will think that it's the thing that they're working so hard at is something they're making that is for other people who are consuming it relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, how could it be so intense? You don't go into a movie like this expecting to. I mean, like, you think about Russian ballet and stuff, right? Like, you don't expect to go into a movie like this thinking or walking out going, that was the most intense thing I've ever seen. It's 24 intense, and it's about a guy who's drumming. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's an incredible film. Everyone should go see it.
And it's also cool how little time it spans. Like, sometimes it feels almost like a one-room drama. It's not that. There's
a point where we skip
scenes,
ahead like 6 months.
So I guess I'm just thinking, like, there are big swaths where we're in one place for a long time. Yeah. And it must spend more time because there's a point where we find out, like, we see him ask Melissa Benoist out, and then they've been dating for like a couple of months. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's basically a school year.
I guess it has to be...
Or somewhere within the school year.
Or a semester.
Yeah.
I guess it has to be over a long enough period of time that they build that rapport and he's been, working with them for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, the car crash is crazy. And you called the car crash, but it's still really effective.
He's driving around at 80 miles per hour. I'm like, he's gonna stop doing that. He's not paying attention to what's going on. He's playing with his phone. I was like, no, you're gonna... And then he gets hit. And I was like, oh, God! And then it's the craziest scene ever. And then it's only the craziest scene ever because in any other movie that would be a crazy scene, but then when it gets to where, like, it's not a tremendous moment, it's the beginning of the third act, like or it's the end of the second act. It's the lowest you can be, and I was like, oh my God, like who does that? Like, it's amazing.
Well, and getting hit is not the breaking point.
No,
it's I'm gonna get up from a car crash.
I'm gonna walk to.
I'm gonna go walk in there and I'm gonna play this music and he gets screwed by the conductor and after a car crash attacks him.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
One of the drumsticks slips out of his hand because it's covered in blood because he just walked away from a car crash and the conductor says you're done.
Yeah, and he can barely play.
Yeah, and he can barely play.
Well, he even lets him pick it up, and he goes apologizes to the audience.
Yeah. Did not. When he gets out of the car, I'm like, he's gonna play amazing, right? Like he's gonna kill it. And then he didn't, and I did not see that coming.
Yeah, well, and what's crazy is I talk about this all the time. It's a story about a character who kind of refuses to change, and what's nuts is you'd think that would be the point where he kind of gets a dose of reality and realizes I've taken it too far. And no, that's the point for him in his head, for his character arc. That's the point where he almost breaks, and then continues on the same path he was on before.
Mm-hmm.
That I could not have imagined that's where that would go.
No, me either. Especially when we kind of had a couple of months and he's just like working at like Jimmy John's or something.
Yeah.
The only thing
like the lowest point isn't the car crash; it's the fact that he let it get to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when he attacks the conductor, it's, you know, I've worked this hard, I've done all this, how dare you?
Yeah.
And then later, he comes to the realization that he needed all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that I can't decide if I'm supposed to it just me for myself, like, is this inspiring, is this endearing, or is this horrifying?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of all of those things.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
I just feel like I'm in this guy's head the whole movie, and it kind of doesn't matter what I would do or what my morality is. Like I'm living
You're with the
him.
peas.
Yeah, I'm with the peas.
Yep.
It wouldn't matter if I
completely.
disagree with it 100%. It's a brilliant film.
I agree.
And we don't run into a lot of this. And like again, I've heard people say this. I kind of agree. It's nigh perfect. I don't know what I would change about it.
The only thing that I like.
I'm not saying it is perfect.
No,
just
no.
right away, one viewing. I don't know what I would.
The
what I would
only
change
thing I
about
took
it.
pause at is when we jump to the summer, and the teacher asks him to come be in the band. He pulls his drums out like he hasn't drummed in a while, and I don't really buy that the character would stop drumming, but also then he goes and does his amazing show. That felt kind of
Well,
weird.
he worked that hard for that long.
Yeah, but then he didn't for, it seems like, a couple of months.
Right, but it was for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might not have phased him that much. And a lot of that was it was about like how the negative reinforcement made him better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a fascinating film.
So the other thing I want to talk about a little bit, and I want to apologize right away to Jeffrey Patron because I'm not going to talk about this as long as he would probably like me to, although I would say things like that and then I talk forever.
Has Jeffrey seen Whiplash? He'd probably love Whiplash.
I imagine he has. I would be very surprised if he hadn't. But, guys, I watched...
It's right up ahead of them.
Is it? Oh, there it is. I watched the pilot for Legion and want to immediately watch it again before I talk about it. But I didn't get a chance to do that, so I'm going to talk about it briefly, and then hopefully in the not-too-distant future I can finish the rest of this. I'm itching to. I mean, I really enjoyed this pilot. So, we've heard great things about Legion. I started watching the pilot a while back, and then something happened, and I didn't finish it, and then I didn't get around to this while it was still a place where I could watch it. So Jeffrey was nice enough to send me this and then request it on Patreon. So so I sat down and watched it, and I was just absolutely riveted. So Legion is supposed to be the son of Professor Xavier, which is not given to us in the pilot. We don't know that, and it kind of doesn't matter. And I right away, and I really like that this feels very, very X-Men, but it stands apart, and it's so confident that it isn't leaning whatsoever on that mythology and that stuff at all. Like, I imagine there were people who might have tuned in and looked at this and didn't know that it was X-Men related, and then by the time they did, if they did,
Well, and they're
it's like,
not selling
cool,
it as
it's
an
X-Men.
X-Men thing.
They're really not. I mean, it's got X in the O.
Yeah.
But they're really not. It's selling itself on its own merits, and I'm impressed that the advertising is as confident about the show as the show is. This does not feel like a thing that should go on broadcast television. Like, I realize that FX is different than like if it was on Fox, but this feels like a thing that would only happen on like a Netflix or an Amazon or something.
Well, and I
And-
keep hearing about this. I've heard nothing about Gifted.
Yeah, well, and I talked a little bit about it when it started.
I mean, since the initial drop.
Oh, so, yeah,
I haven't
sure.
heard anything. People kept talking about Legion, and even after it ended, people like for the whole rest of the year. Like, I think season 2 started up soon. I kept hearing people bring up Legion.
So, do you remember what I told you about the first time I saw Heroes?
No.
I had the same thing with this that I did the first time I saw Heroes, which is the pilot for this show feels like a show that has been on for 5 years.
Oh, yes. Well, just Heroes' whole first season feels like one of the most confident first seasons I've ever seen.
Yeah. This is something special. I've really never seen anything quite like this, because it's incredibly like stylistically filmed, and the soundtrack is like choice of popular music and stuff is unusual and not what you would expect in a scene, and just like everything about it is counterintuitive but really artistic and lovely and twisted all at the same time. This show is shocking, it is horrifying, and it is, I'll use that word again, lovely. I had flashes of Pushing Daisies in this, which is weird. It's like Pushing Daisies if it was about a guy who is in a mental institution and being like controlled by the government. So the thing I think that's most impressive about at least this pilot with Legion is I trust it the whole time and I have no idea what's going on. And that is such a cool feeling. It's constantly asking you to second guess everything, and you're doing that all the way through. And what it'll do is it has, like, if I just straight up described this without telling you I liked it, you'd think I was criticizing it. I could say things like, scenes do not naturally follow other scenes. Where something will happen and you'll have like a cliffhanger over a commercial. And your David, your main character, I think his name is David, will be in the like horrible dire straits. And you don't know how he's going to get out of it. And then you get to the next scene and he's in some other place and he's just fine and it's just business as usual, and you're like, what in the world is going on? And I never know who's real, I never know who's actually there, I never know who's maybe a figment of his imagination.
Does he have multiple because that's his thing, right? He has a bunch of different personalities.
Yeah, I don't think it's made entirely clear what exactly that is initially, because it doesn't want you to know too much about anything, because you're supposed to be in his head and he's not allowed to know anything. So about halfway through, and I'll spoil this because it's part of kind of the premise of the show.
That's the pilot.
You get halfway through the pilot, and they peel back, and you find out that he's not actually crazy. He's made to think he is, so he won't know that he's a mutant and how powerful he is. And that immediately gives you something to latch onto. I think that has to happen, but I think you have to be in his head as long as you are until you get there so that you'll really appreciate how he feels about everything. I think that would have been a huge mistake to open with. Mm-hmm. I need to be with him and in his world and wonder if, like, this girl that he's starting to date at the mental institution is actually a real person or not. I won't give that away, but it's great. And other characters were just like, like, there's one character who seems to be a figment of his imagination, and then you see that guy apart from him, and you're like, I don't understand that. What is going on right now? And but you also continue to question his sanity, even though you know that he at least wasn't insane in the first place, because all this stuff that's happening to him could make you go crazy, right? And one thing I'm curious about that I'm hoping will become clearer as it goes along, and I've heard from people that have watched more of the show that it gets really interesting in trying to connect it to any other X-Men mythology, where it's like it kind of fits with the movies, and it kind of, and like I don't know what all that is yet because I haven't gotten to it, but like right now I'm not even thinking about that stuff, and I don't find myself thinking I'm looking at B-list characters and wishing that I was looking at like the main characters that I actually care about. I don't even just watching this pilot know that this is Professor X's kid, but I don't immediately go like, man, I sure wish he was here. There is talk that he might be. And have I told you about that?
Yeah,
and
Patrick Stewart is in
big deal.
negotiations.
Yeah, because apparently he and this actor are friends and have been in something together, and I forget what, but it sounds like there's actually negotiations and that could end up happening. And but that will probably just be icing on the cake if it stays as good as it seems like at the beginning. But yeah, one thing that I was not sure about is whether people in this world at large know about mutants and are used to mutants. I feel like they must, but then I wonder why he wouldn't wonder if he was a mutant. It's almost like to him the mutant, the reality of mutants seems to not be a concept, but it must be, because when he finally deals with mutants with different superpowers, and when we get to mutants toward the end, where we're building our supporting cast and we have kind of an underground. It's spectacular. I mean, it's big screen worthy. You'd think that a show like this, that's all about the psychology of this character, would mostly just be dialogue driven, and you'd have some, cool, creepy, trippy stuff that happens on the screen, and you have that, of course, and there's a whole lot of wonderful, weird, vivid imagery and stuff, and a lot of symbols that I really want to start reading, but I haven't seen enough of the show yet to know what they mean. There's this creepy, doll thing he keeps seeing, or is it a guy? I don't even know. That it means something. I don't know what it means. It means something, and but when they actually get to the big kind of fight choreography stuff, it's fantastic, and I didn't expect it to go there, and I don't know, man, it's it feels like a movie, and it's getting so much done in that first episode, and it's only 8, so I'm excited because I know it's probably not going to get boring. It's probably not going to be really padded, but that's an experience, man.
I will have to try it.
And a thing that I didn't care about just based on initial premise when it first came out, but man, the guy running this just knows how to make a TV show. It's crazy. It's quite brilliant. So I'm excited to eventually talk about this in more of an articulate way, because I haven't watched any more of it yet, and I will probably rewatch the pilot before I watch more of it.
Cool.
Just because I'm sure a lot of stuff, now that I know some of where it's going, I will, some of the symbols and things I imagine I'll pick up more on a second viewing. Yeah. No, absolutely. And like I said a minute ago, some of the best nonlinear storytelling I've looked at. So, yeah, anyway. So that was absolutely fantastic. So, we only did 2 pieces for You Made Me Watch today, because we had all this Power Ranger stuff that we looked at. I was going to say that we had to look at. We went a little overboard. We maybe didn't have to do as much as we did with Primetime Crisis.
Well, it just kept being like, well, is that enough? Okay, well, we'll do this thing too. Well, what if we do that too?
We got in the mood for it.
Yeah.
So it was worth it. It was a lot of fun, I think. But next time, we're going to do a lot more You Made Me Watch. We're going to tackle at least 4, if not 5 things, probably. At least me, and we'll try to get Eric in on at least a couple things. But so if you have requested something with donation and you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, I've got it in the queue, and we're going to get to a lot more of those next time. If you'd like to donate to support the channel and have us review something, you can go to the email address in the description. Send me an email. Let me know what it is you'd like me to talk about. I will approve it, and most things get approved as long as they're not impossible to get or pornographic in nature. And we'll talk about a movie, we'll talk about the first episode, and usually the next episode in a TV show. We'll sample a video game, we'll sample comics, and You Made Me Watch can also be You Made Me Read, or You Made Me Play.
We just can't come up with a better title.
We just can't come up with a better title. So that's what we're calling it right now, and all those things will wind up.
You Made Me Ellipses.
Something rather. And anyway, but you can send me an email and let me know what you'd like me to talk about, and then you can, and then I'll send you information about how to make the donation happen. If you want to do that on a regular basis, you can go to patreon.com/Geekvolution and donate at the $20 tier. And that's going to be it for You Made Me Watch. So, Eric, we are now right at the very end of the Omnibus for this week, and wow, so much power, just so much Power Rangers. And I've decided to skip Captain's Log this time, which is a thing we've never done. We've always done Captain's Log, but it was kind of a slow last couple weeks for news, and there were a couple things we could have hit on. I think they'll still be relevant enough in the next couple weeks to go ahead and talk about. There were second trailers for movies, but nothing new, so I didn't really feel the need to weigh in on the Deadpool trailer, on the new Deadpool trailer. It's great, it's fun.
Yeah, it looks wonderful.
It's less fourth wall breaky as a trailer. It's kind of more of a traditional trailer. And then there was another one for something. Incredibles. That's what it was. Yeah,
was really more like an extended trailer for the first one.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So I didn't really think we needed to jump into that. So I think we're just going to go right on the letters pages this time, Eric. And our first letter comes from.
I wonder who it's from.
Brad Bunnell. And this is going to be a little bit lengthy, so give me just a second to read this. This was a message that he sent me privately. I asked him if I could share it publicly. He said that I could. And this is a really nice letter he sent. I want to go ahead and read it to you. He says, I wanted to say thank you. On January 21st of this year, I graduated with a doctoral degree in education, and since then I've been trying to thank all the people that helped me along the way. That includes you. I began working on this degree in August of '09, which happens to be the same time you uploaded the first Superhero Rewind. On one night, while I was up late working on an assignment and also getting distracted by YouTube, I stumbled across one of your reviews. While at first your videos were a distraction, they soon became motivation. I worked on this degree on and off for 8 years. There were times when I wanted to quit, but your determination to continue on your quest was one thing that inspired me to keep going, so thank you for helping me to achieve my goal. Sincerely, Dr. Brad Bennell. And then he says, P.S. I really enjoy your reviews and look forward to every one of them. I would also like to request a review of The Guyver, starring Mark Hamill.
Starring is a little bit of
a little bit of exaggeration.
Yeah, a little bit of an exaggeration. He is kind of the Commissioner Gordon of that movie.
So
I think can be said.
So I was quite moved by that letter.
Yeah,
and that's a big deal. So thanks a lot for sharing that. And if my material helped you get through school at all, that means a lot to me. So thanks a bunch for letting us know about that. And then Carl Maxey asks, Captain Logan and Eric, that's us, who is the best mentor in comics? I think he means mentor character.
Yeah.
And we keep talking about mentors in comics and things that seem to be.
I saw some of these and I had an answer
really altruistic,
8 hours ago before we started shooting.
But then they turn out to be like ultimately kind of morally bereft.
It's Uncle Ben, right? Because he dies before we can find anything dubious about.
Yeah, he didn't
him.
live long enough to be the villain.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Sure. No, I guess it probably is. Maybe Alfred.
Alfred was my answer 8 hours ago before we started recording.
I got your answer.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good answer.
Yeah, Alfred. Alfred or Uncle Ben.
Sure. Brian Uhl, what got you guys into doing things on YouTube? We'll give like real quick clip responses because we've talked about this before. But go ahead, Eric, because I think fewer people have probably heard yours.
I didn't have friends that liked comic books. So I made a YouTube channel where I could talk about comic books, and hopefully other people would like them too, and then I could talk about them. Not that I didn't have friends, just none of my friends were into comic books. And some of the more like geeky things I was into. So yeah, that's why I started, was to talk to other people about the things I like.
Wow, I don't know if I can do mine as simply as you, but I'm going to try. Let's see. So I got to use...
Since the dawn of time!
Really simple clipped sentences. Okay, so I was writing reviews for a website, and then one day someone told me, hey, you'd be good at YouTube videos, how come you don't make those? And I was like, that's not a bad idea, I should maybe try that. And I like reviewing things, so I thought the reviewing thing was what I would probably do. And then the thing that really pushed me over the edge of doing this is when I thought, oh, maybe, because I want to write novels, maybe I can sell people books that like my videos. And then the video thing kind of took over more than the novel thing, which I'm still doing. But over
I said Herm.
Herm. Yeah, I'm eating cold beans that I didn't heat up right now. Garrison Philho, what are your... That kind of thing works a lot better when people can't see you, you know what I mean? Where, like, if it's just a podcast, you go, I'm eating beans. He's probably not eating beans, but what if he was? Garrison Philho, what are your thoughts on the future of the Power Rangers movie series? We got some Power Rangers questions.
There isn't one.
In here.
It will be rebooted. Like,
I don't think there's a future for... Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a series. I don't think there's a future for that. I think it will inevitably be rebooted. They give it 4 years.
They already let the logo lapse.
Yeah.
Though, there's no future for that film franchise. What comes next, I couldn't guess.
Sure.
It may be part of the Hasbro shared film universe if they get the license by that point.
Boy, was that a thought you'd had before we talked about it?
No.
I'm like, oh no, what if they do that?
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll leave it as something.
No, I completely agree with you, but I do think it's not going to be
I also don't. I also
a real
think,
long time before it gets rebooted.
I also think Hasbro would be smart enough not to intermingle something that they could theoretically lose later into their properties that they intrinsically own.
That's true, and maybe they won't do it.
Yeah,
because of that.
because they own Dungeons and Dragons, and they haven't like mixed Dungeons and Dragons and like Transformers.
I think especially if, because we were talking earlier on the Omnibus about the idea of adult, GN, the idea of adult Power Ranger stuff. If they never do that, if they don't in the next few years do that on television, they'll try around too with it.
I think so too.
I would be really surprised if Lionsgate and Saban is, and I don't know if it would still be Lionsgate, honestly. But
Saban.
Yeah, but if they still have the rights and they can make a movie, I would be surprised if they were looking at that and thought, well, there's no viability there. They're probably thinking more. I would like to think they're probably thinking more like I am, where it's just the material wasn't enough of what people really wanted.
They will never have. They have squandered their chance.
But is it possible that a great Power Rangers movie would have done just what that one did?
No, because the Great Power Rangers movie wouldn't
it.
have looked like that.
That's true, sure.
No, but they have squandered their chance and wasted the opportunity to have the perfect Kimberly lookalike. We will not get that again.
That's true. Yeah, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a cast better than that cast.
That's true. Yeah, no, they're all great.
I mean, they're pretty great.
Maybe except for Jason.
Although I still say, if you made it next year, your next big screen Power Rangers need to be the kids from the Jumanji sequel, because they're great and they should have been Power Rangers. All three of them. Three? Nicholas Hernandez, do you think... It is 4. You haven't even seen the movie.
No.
Do you think there will ever be a film/TV series based on the Power Rangers Boom comics? We were talking about the notion of an adult thing. I could see it influencing it. I don't see straight up.
No, and I would hope not. Maybe Go-Go. Not Mighty Morphin.
Go-Go
I
I like
not
to see.
want Mighty Morphin.
No, because it feels like too much of an extension of what was there already.
Yeah.
Eli McKegg, if you were to have made the Power Rangers movie, what would your story have been? Also, I liked your Let's Do It Again series, and I really want to see you guys do something like that.
It would be like the movie that we got, but different.
Oh, is that right?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know. No.
In that it would be more character-driven, and we would actually flesh those characters out.
Yeah, although I do more with the mythology.
And right, but like the Breakfast Club idea is not a bad one.
No, and that's probably where I would end up going. Well, honestly, if you gave me Power Rangers, a movie, and the Keys to the Kingdom, I wouldn't do a remake. I would do an all-original Power Rangers movie.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do that.
And I would intrinsically tie it into like the lore and mythology of the show and be like real nerdy about it, but hopefully in a way that is still accessible to people.
I don't know. I feel like you had to. I mean, now that we have the comics, I don't know so much. But at that time, I feel like as they were making it.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like you had to start back at the grassroots,
square
one, and
makes
do
sense.
Mighty Morphin, because there was too much potential with that mythology and those characters that we just never did anything with.
Mm-hmm.
And so to continue to build on it, I think is and that's some of a little bit of an issue we both had with the comics.
Yeah. But no, you have to do that first, I guess. I think that's a possibility now. Had that film failed, I could see another Power Rangers movie that is not anything.
But I also don't think you can do origin, and I don't know that I would do an origin thing.
Yeah.
I think I would already be in the middle of it, and they just have their powers already, but yeah, beyond just like you said, kind of that movie, but more Power Rangers-y. I mean, I would keep the original aesthetic. I've always said that I wouldn't mess with the aesthetic too much. You can make it look less cheap.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't mess with that aesthetic.
You can scale the costume up a little bit.
And but the big thing I would do is kind of the Man of Steel thing, where I would have at least the first act be Zordon.
Yeah.
I think there is a 3-act story to tell in the
Superman the motion picture.
The movie formula.
Yeah.
That's what I would do with
mine. Would probably be not dissimilar from like Robotech, where it's I think mine would be a little bit more military government-y and like alien invasion and like people get involved. I don't know. It's late.
Sure, yeah. Thomas B. on Twitter, if you could only watch one actor's body of work for the rest of your lives, That includes anything they starred in, produced, or directed. Who would you choose? That's tough, because a lot of my favorite actors...
Mel Gibson.
I don't know that they're... Wow, interesting.
I mean, I get starred in, directed, like that's a pretty good catalog. It gets me Lethal Weapon, all of them.
Right away. I don't have a great answer for that, because a lot of my favorite actors aren't...
Pick a character actor that's just in everything.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm only going to watch Brian Dennehy movies.
I want to watch Brian Cox movies.
That gets you a lot. That gets you X2. That gets you
That's true. That's true. There is a lot of stuff I love. See, I know I'm going to come up with like the perfect answer as soon as I'm finished here. But I mean, I'm thinking of a lot of people where I'm just like, no, it wouldn't be that person. It wouldn't be Tim Burton.
Well, he says actor.
Oh, it has to be an actor in the first place. Oh, okay, all right. But it's okay if they've also done other things. It's an interesting question. I like that a lot.
Maybe Clint Eastwood. I don't know if I'd want to watch only Clint Eastwood movies for the rest of my life, though.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Patrick Stewart would give me all of TNG, but then, it's just movie, body of work. But then, he's in some stuff that's not great.
But you get Safe House.
It's true, you get Safe House.
And you get most of the X-Men movies.
Yeah, so that's good. What we're really finding is that Captain Logan is apparently only happy if he's watching X-Men movies. Alex Dawson on Facebook, I'd be curious to get your opinions on what's been happening recently in Hollywood, if it should affect how we look at media, or should we just keep drama and entertainment separate, while acknowledging that if these people are guilty, they should go to jail. I tend to lean toward the second thing.
Me too. I tend to lean towards separate art and artists.
We've talked about this before. I don't think it's, for me, always possible.
No.
I try. There are things that are hard to do.
But
especially if they hit too close to home for whatever it is the person was accused of or did.
I don't see a differentiation, or it's hard for me to it's hard for me to look at someone's work and go, well, now I can't appreciate that artistically because of this other thing. Also, most of the greatest writers and artists of all time were all bad people.
This becomes an ignorance is
various ways.
Bliss issue where you could get really paranoid and just not enjoy entertainment at all because, well, that guy must have been a bad person.
Well, and how many famous writers and painters do we all know were just kind of monsters, but we all unanimously agree, but they were a genius. It's hard for me to...
And I think for some people, it's more difficult when they're on screen.
Yeah, because you're...
they're seeing them and they're imagining what that person might have gone and done that night after they got finished filming, and I think that makes it harder for people.
Actors are harder.
This doesn't affect
directors.
Yeah, this doesn't affect people behind the scenes as much. Now, high profile, sometimes more.
If something came out about Steven Spielberg, I feel like, but yeah, no, but I can't always, and there are certainly people who say things and do things where I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in their work anymore. But for the most part, if I like somebody's work, I try to separate that.
They end up being massive hypocrites where all their work is saying the opposite of the horrible thing they went and did.
I still watch Buffy. I still appreciate Joss Whedon's work.
That's not the same kind of thing, though. You know what I mean?
It's not illegal.
Not just it's not illegal, but it's not. I mean, because illegal doesn't mean more wrong necessarily. It's just everything that we know about with Joss Whedon was consensual. He cheated on his wife.
No, but it is the opposite of the morality of pretty much everything he writes.
No, and that's true. But I mean, something with that versus somebody like Cosby, I do think it's somewhat easier because I'm not looking at Joss Whedon on the screen.
That's probably true. And you're also not listening to Joss Whedon make jokes about what he did in a lot of his...
Yeah, and if it was that kind of situation, it would be harder to go back to something like Buffy for me.
Which is a problem with Cosby.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah.
It's a case-by-case thing.
Yeah.
Like so many things
People still love Woody Allen films.
Yeah. And I tend to see, I talk about this all the time on Rewind. I tend to see works, taking on their own life.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, what about people who don't pay any attention to what happens behind the scenes with anything they watch?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I wish I had that. Sometimes I wish I had that kind of, ignorance is bliss thing where...
Although at this point, I don't know if anyone could have that. Not for somebody like Kevin Spacey stuff.
Not somebody like Cosby.
Yeah.
No, certainly.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Michael Perry on Twitter. Cap, Eric, just wondering if you'll be covering Batman Enemy Within anytime soon, now that it's finished. We keep getting questions about this, about the second Telltale thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
We were doing a playthrough for the first game. We haven't gotten back around to finishing it. It's been difficult to prioritize that.
Especially now with all those Power Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I want to finish that. If that gets unrealistic, we'll at some point sit down and play the new one so that we can talk about it. Yeah. But yeah, it's a time constraint thing. We have admittedly sometimes overextended ourselves a little bit. Maybe more than a little bit. Yeah, so we got that one up. People seem to enjoy it. I'm not getting a ton of people asking where the rest of them are. I would like to finish that.
Yeah, me too.
And that's the reason we haven't done the other one.
Yeah.
But we also, in my defense, and this is a great problem to have, didn't expect the request to get as daunting as they have. So we've been getting a lot of those, and it's wonderful, and we really appreciate you guys. And don't want to discourage people from helping us out, supporting the channel. But when we've got more of that kind of stuff, it's hard to do some things like that. And I love that stuff because it's opening my eyes to things that I never would have thought to look at on my own. So a lot of the picks have been great. Leo Lee, looking back on Power Rangers as an adult, how difficult is it to divorce the commercial aspect of it from the enjoyment value, like the way Forever Red ends with a flying motorcycle saving the day because Bandai funded the ending? I mean, for me, Power Rangers is always a toy commercial.
Yeah, no, and a lot of that stuff's like really funny.
Yeah,
like I
don't divorce it. I think
that's charm.
I think that's part of why I like it.
It's intrinsic to it. Now, sometimes it gets a little annoying, and a lot of this again goes back to Japan, and it's not our fault, but like, I don't need every Morpher to be a phone. For a while, Kamen Rider had issues with cards. Like, everything was card-based. Like, I don't need that. Like, when it interferes with the motif of the show, but, like, I don't care if, like, we have to do an episode where all of the Rangers get motorcycles, and then we never mention the motorcycles again, but they're on the toy show. Like, that's part of the charm of the series to me.
Oh, we should use them more. It's weird. And, like, Power Rangers can teleport. They don't need motorcycles.
Well, but they can't after Zordon Era.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
None of them doesn't morph. Or doesn't...
Well, I didn't know that none of them did.
Yeah, as far as I know. They might bring it back in, like, a later series, but as far as I'm aware, most of them, if not none of them...
Okay, but they also had motorcycles and Mighty Morphin, and that's weird, because they don't need them.
With sidecars.
With sidecars. Last question.
Like Christmas.
This is wonderfully bookended, because we started off... wasn't it our first question, the comics mentor character?
Yes.
Robert Emmett, who is the best Power Rangers mentor character?
It is, I think, unquestionably, Captain Mitchell from Lightspeed Rescue.
Yeah?
Yeah. Of all the series I watch, I think
haven't watched that
Captain
one.
Mitchell.
I haven't watched all of this show, but I think
right?
I think a good contender is Doggy from SPD.
Yeah, and I wonder if I might feel differently after going through SPD, because I also was thinking of Doggy.
Yeah, from just what I've seen from that's kind of up there.
Yeah.
I love to say Captain Logan, it's not Captain Logan.
Well, he's not a mentor.
Is he not?
No.
Oh, that's true.
He's like their boss, and like he shows up a couple of times, but he's not.
He's not there all the time.
Jason pointed out to us that the same season as Captain Logan is the only season that has a ranger named Eric.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Captain Logan and Eric are in Time Force.
Yep.
Well, on that note, that's going to be it for us tonight for the Geekvolution Omnibus. Thanks a whole bunch for watching. We're sure enjoyed all the Power Rangers goodness. And we're going to go away here in just a moment. Next time...
Go the way to go Power Rangers.
In Infinity War, we'll have been out when we do the next one. And
we'll be covering the Infinity Gauntlet.
That's exciting. And we're going to talk about Infinity Gauntlet on that show, so look forward to that. And the rest of that show is mostly going to be requests. We'll probably do some other things that we happen to look at here and there. But it's going to be Infinity and then requests. So anyway.
Infinite requests.
Infinite requests.
Infinity requests.
Guys, you guys are wonderful. We sure appreciate you. Thanks so much for watching. And if you are so inclined, don't forget about who reviews the reviewers. And the next deadline is in 3 weeks. So 3 weeks Tuesday. So anyway, thanks so much, everybody. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you next time.